artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 6 3 2 9 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the Reptilian. And we would like to say hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It is Friday night, and that means it is show night. And we're back, and we've got all kinds of crazy things to talk about, per usual. What are those things? You know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the 24-hour news cycle, major corporations, academia, the government. Basically all the things we're not supposed to talk about. But here we are doing it anyway, because at least still, right now, today, it's still legal to talk about these things. We never know what tomorrow may bring, but today, right now, in this moment, this type of conversation is still legal. So we're going to push it as far as we can, and as long as we can, until they shut us up. And that's it. The technocracy is already shadow banning here, not sending out notifications there. You know how it is, right? You know how it is. When you get to, once you start to get the attention of the algorithms, and you start to, your reach suddenly that was growing is now limited. They don't want you to hear these things. They don't want us to talk about these things, but we do it anyway. We do it anyway. What's up, Ash? How you doing tonight, buddy? Ladies and gentlemen, your co-host, Ash the Reptilian. What's up, my man? Test 1 2.
How you guys doing tonight? What's up?
I think you already know. Welcome.
Yeah, just hanging in there, trying to survive the coronavirus apocalypse. Just hanging out with you guys on a late Friday night.
Nice.
Hope everyone's doing well out there. Looking forward to tonight's show.
Nice. Perfect. I'll turn you up just a smidge because I think you're a little bit low. Let us know on his volume there if you guys could. Appreciate that. And so what we're going to do is what this show's about is all those things that we just talked about. But we're going to talk about we'll do news first. We got plenty of news. There's been plenty of news recently. So we're going to take our time, get through some news. And then we're going to talk about Project Paperclip. If you guys remember, or sorry, Operation Paperclip. I'm just saying it all wrong already. Right off the bat, I'm saying it wrong. But if you guys remember, this was the Nazi scientists that came over in World War II. And so that's pretty much like the cursory amount of what people know. But we dug a little deeper this time and kind of looking into some of the actual things about it, and maybe some of the doctors that came over. Like we have the most famous Werner von Braun, of course. Everybody knows that one, and his links to NASA and etc. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But also some of the other doctors that came over and their nefarious, what would you call it? Experience. I guess that's what you would say. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do tonight.
Origins.
Yeah, wexactly. Whatever the hell the dirty stuff they were up to before they actually came over here and sent us to the moon. Okay, so that's what's on deck tonight. But as as always, we are broadcasting this live. So if you guys want to be part of the show, you know what to do. You can call into the show by dialing 702-957-1037. And you can also join the Discord by going to troubleminds.org, and you can join us there as well. And that's what's up. That's what we're doing tonight. So we always have time for you. So if you have comments on this type of stuff and want to talk about it, then that's what we're doing. That's what's up. That's what we're that's what the show's all about. So, all right. So let's do it. We got we got shout outs. We'll do shout outs first and then we'll do some news. We get Timothy gets first on Facebook. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for showing up. We got Sean, our favorite Canadian. Hello. We got Joanne on Facebook. Thanks for showing up tonight. We got Nikki. Hey. Todd from Danville, Kentucky. How are you? We got Larry, says pure energy. Yeah. Robert, hello from Texas. Always love the shows. Appreciate that, my man. Thanks for showing up. We got Elizabeth, High Troubled Minds. Disturbing news from Oregon. We have a coronavirus here. Confirmed. Governor Brown made an announcement. A person working in an elementary school, says Elizabeth. Holy crap. That's about the worst place you can do it, right? Kids, God bless them, are germ spreaders, like super spreaders, you would say. That's just crazy. That I hadn't heard that news. That's insane.
Children are filthy.
Yeah. I was trying to be political there, but okay. Ash says children are filthy.
Yeah, dude. I worked at a YMCA in the computer room, and I was sick more often than I was healthy.
Yes.
Just constantly.
Yes. Yeah. It's tough. Even when you're not around kids a lot, they show up, they hang out with you for like a weekend, and they leave, and you're sick for a month. Yep. I know exactly what you mean.
Just slobbering everywhere.
Yeah.
Kids are the worst.
Snot and drool. Yeah.
Reptilian from Mars.
Excuse me. Okay, so all right, let's see what else we got. Yes, exactly. So that's terrible to hear because then they're going to take it home to their parents, which is going to take it to work and give it to you, and then it's terrible news. This is happening, guys. This is happening. Be prepared. We'll talk about that as we go tonight because as always, coronavirus news is seemed to be top of mind right now. Remember think about to just 30 days ago when the topic was a little less dire and when we were only talking about World War III and not like a world-ending pandemic. Man, it's been a hell of a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, when it was all fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of funny. We hopped on the coronavirus right away, and there's usually when you look into conspiracy theories and stuff, the mainstream is kind of off from it. It's actually a good thing. Now I'm hearing just regular freaking out about it. It's like, is this gonna get real? Like
actual standard mainstream media freaking out about it, which is crazy. Yeah. Elisha, what's happening? Thanks for showing up. We got Remy, China land to the moon. China leaked a virus taking over the region. It's not a coincidence, he says. Maybe not. Mark, what's up? First time watcher. How you doing? Thanks for showing up tonight. Appreciate you being here. From Sydney, Australia. Hey, look, we got people in Australia that are tinfoil hatters too. What's up, Sam? Sam says coronavirus won't end the world. Okay, I guess. That remains to be seen. What's up, Paul? Thanks for showing up on first on YouTube there. We got Nils, nice animations. Thank you. Dan from SoCal. He says, hi, all. Get your supplies, folks. It's go time. I agree 100%. Get your stuff. Cedric, I'm listening to this while playing God of War 4. Yes. C Pete on YouTube as well. What's up? Thanks for showing up, guys. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do news tonight, and if you want shout-outs, you know what to do. Type in the chat where you're listening from. We'll shout you out as we go. We'll read the chat as much as possible, but if you have to be on the show, we do it live for this reason. You can call us. You can be on the show right now if you dial this phone number, 702-957-1037. There it is. And go to troubleminds.org. You can find that's the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there, and there we are. there we are. That's what this is all about. So let's do it. Let's start with some news, man. What do you got? What do you got on deck tonight there, sir?
I have a little bit of science. Let's start with the knowledgetime.net.
Okay, let's see. KnowledgeTime.net. Here we go. The link is going in chat if you guys want to check it out and follow up on us, per usual. We don't make this stuff up. So there's our sources and methods, as they say. Except these ones are not classified. But there they are. And you can follow along. I've linked it in all the chats. And there you are. There you are. All right. So what's with this one, Ash?
All right. Yeah, so we've got an announcement to make. Congratulations, everyone. Earth, we've had a second moon. It's clapping. That's me clapping.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Nice.
right. Congratulations.
So scientists announced planet Earth has now a second moon, and it makes the news. So, astronomers involved in this amazing discovery tweeted, "Big news! Earth has acquired a new small moon." Scientists have said the mysterious object has been captured into Earth's orbit and is now flying beside our planet around the solar system. It acts just like our own well-known and much bigger moon. The new moon was discovered on the 15th of February, so super recent, by astronomers from the Catalina Sky Survey in Arizona. Since then, it's been moving around the Earth. There's like a little picture of it. Apparently, the new moon is between 6.2 and 11 feet in diameter. It's just a baby moon.
Just a little guy.
It's a little guy. And its particular shining suggests a carbon-rich, it's made of carbon. So official confirmation of the new moon came on the 25th, just 2 days ago. So yeah, just a little fun piece of news.
That's I think I was reading it's about the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, somewhere in that range. So it's just a little guy. That little guy, don't worry about that little guy. So here we go. I got a what would you call this? A photograph from NASA of the new mini moon temporarily orbiting the Earth there. This is reported by Detroit Channel 4 News. And this is I don't know. It seems to be a really tiny little thing. That little guy. But the thing is, so if this can actually, kind of float in on a weird trajectory from where the asteroid belt or what have you, right? Just kind of just be floating through and then stick to the moon and then become like a little satellite of the moon or of the Earth, I mean, that's scary, right? Because what if it didn't stick in the orbit, in the gravitational orbit signature bit, and instead it just kind of kept on trucking and just kept heading toward, I don't know, let's say a major city on Earth. That's a little bit scary to me. These things just come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. There's the Graham Wilcock name. Well, he talks about Earth goes through the Van Allen belt periodically. There's some big suckers in there, and if you look at a lot of the cataclysms that line up through history, it's us going through that of space, so that area of space, because there's like tons of debris there. We should probably look into that.
Yeah, I think at some point, right? Like maybe like with all the satellites and junk we're putting up there that's just kind of floating around the Earth. I mean, they're saying that eventually it's gonna block out the sun. It's gonna be so much debris in space. I don't know about that. I exaggerate, of course, but it's become a thing, right? So just like we're polluting the hell out of the Earth, we're now polluting the hell out of our atmosphere, upper and lower, and low orbit space.
That's a good point. You know what? Yeah. I'm calling it. Evil Jeff Bezos, go after our new baby moon.
He's gonna go get it.
It's gonna be a whole thing.
He's gonna eat
protests. Leave that moon alone.
Leave the moon alone. People with the signs. Leave it alone. It's natural. It's natural.
You can see it, right? It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and we're picketing. Larry says it's a Death Star, maybe. Yeah, maybe. From this photograph, it kind of looks like a Death Star. You have like the chunk out of it from the side there, like it's got the big bullet or the gun or whatever that is. See what I mean? Yeah. From Knowledge Time.
We gotta move our show there, man.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. That would be totally sweet. What's up, Ryan? He says, is that next to Orion's belt? I don't think so. I think that's right next to the Earth at this point. A little baby moon, they call it. Chad, what's up? I can't stick around. Got a girl over. Hey, what's up? What's up, baby? Tell her we said hi. Don't want to creep her out,
Hey.
or more with the podcast. Well, hey, we're not that creepy, man. Come on, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not gonna get weird for another hour.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
still have my pants on.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
weird at all.
Exactly. Same here. I haven't even thought about taking my pants off yet, so it's all good. Oh, it's all good. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's see. We got Penny. What's up, Penny? Thanks for showing up. Penny from the UK. Penny Bunny on YouTube. Follow Penny Bunny. She streams live as well and has lots of good stuff. Talks about the coronavirus and all the UFOs and all kinds of good stuff. So do check it out. We got lots of good and smart people watching us and other YouTube creators as it were. So thanks for showing up. And all right, so let's go. Go ahead and pick the next one as well. There, Ash. What are we doing? What are we doing next?
Generous. So let's stick with the space theme. Let's do livescience.com.
All right. My favorite. Livescience.com. All right, here we go. I'm linking it. You guys can check out that follow along as usual. Here you go. Links are being dropped in the chat as we speak. Articles up. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of gloss over this one. It's a little dense, but the title of this is No, Octopuses Don't Come from Outer Space. So this is written by Brandon Spector, senior writer, I guess. I don't know. But he basically, there is these 33 authors from a publishing of a recent peer-reviewed paper that hypothesized all of these things and more. And what they're talking about is that there's a biological theory called spermia where life has originated who knows how long ago, and that the life here on this planet was pretty much seeded, and that it's constantly moving throughout the universe, the galaxy, and dropping seeds from each planet. And so they theorized that since the octopus has no ancestor, there's literally like nothing prior to it of real value, that its kind of biological systems came out of nowhere, that it's potentially an alien that was seeded here from another planet during an asteroid collision. And then they, these guys go on to be very skeptical of that and why that would happen, but they don't really have too much counterproductive evidence versus that. They just say it's kind of ridiculous. They kind of make fun of it. That's kind of their only argument. They're like, oh, there's no evidence for it. It's like, well, there's no evidence to the contrary either. You know what I mean? Not enough in any one direction. So, yeah, what do you think about this, Mike? And I'd be curious what you guys think at home. Do you think the octopus is an alien? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's ridiculous? Or
Yeah, I actually saw this on Ancient Aliens. This is a while back, but our good buddy, he's not really our buddy, but you know what I mean, the guy with the hair, Georgios Tsoukalos, the alien meme guy. Therefore, it's aliens. It must be aliens. That guy. So, and he was talking about on one of his shows there that an octopus it seems to not have any evolutionary basis on Earth, is what he was saying. And I think this is on Live Science, and somebody's actually discussing this in depth. Huh? I didn't realize this was actually an actual thing. Like there's so much stuff on that show, Ancient Aliens, that kind of makes you go, I have to double check that. You know what I mean? there's enough on there.
Filter anything.
Yeah, it almost seems like it. It's like therefore aliens. Could it be aliens? Yes, therefore aliens. Like it's like they start with the premise and then try and find. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's interesting. They tell some good stories sometimes. But yeah, this is crazy. And so like Ash was saying, panspermia, the panspermia hypothesis, which just means that life came from not on this planet. It came from we all know we're stardust at some point, and we all started somewhere. But then life kind of gets kicked over from one Earth, one planet to the next type of thing on asteroids and everything else. And so comets and what have you were like in the early days of the solar system were like a, what would you call it, like a ping pong machine, pinball machine. That's what I'm looking for. Where just things kind of banging around on, slapping into each other, and things blowing up, and kind of spreading outer space germs from one heavenly body to another. So, yeah, this seems I don't know, like it's on Live Science, so I guess it must be science, right? Aliens.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, and they do look like aliens a little bit. I mean, that's pretty terrifying. If I went to another planet and saw something similar to that, I wouldn't be terribly surprised that
Well-
it was an alien life form.
One of the weird things about octopi is that they have brains to their arms. That's like that doesn't exist anywhere else in the animal kingdom. It's got to. So yeah. So they say other researchers were not quick to embrace this theory. There's no question early biology is fascinating, but I think this, if anything, is counterproductive. Ken Stedman, a virologist and professor of biology at Portland State University, told Live Science. There's so many commas in that sentence. Many of the claims in this paper are beyond speculative and not even looking at the literature. For example, Stedman said the octopus genome was mapped in 2015. While it indeed contains many surprises, one relevant finding was that octopus nervous system genes split from the squid only about 105 million years ago, long after the Cambrian explosion. So the Cambrian explosion is they were like sizing where biology come the meteor hitting the planet. There's all this biology. So anyway, they say they claim to have some evidence counter to it, but again, they gloss over while it indeed contains many surprises, like a brain in each arm, ammo.
Yeah.
The thing about the octopus, on and on. It's a crazy, weird animal.
Okay, yeah, crazy weird. Let's see. Dan from SoCal says that they are unreal animals with crazy brains and otherworldly stealth skills. And so, yeah, that's like I don't know. Like I said, the picture here is a little bit terrifying. You guys have all seen an octopus up close, and it's just it doesn't look. It doesn't look friendly, let's say. It just, I don't know. Anyway, so there we go. Live Science says, no, this isn't true. But as Cray says on Facebook there, not saying it's aliens, but yeah, it's aliens. There's the meme. That's the meme I was looking for. I routinely butcher things, and there's another one. But yeah, so it's, I don't know. I guess Live Science says, no, they don't come from outer space, but we don't really have anything to suggest that it doesn't other than common sense, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. Like bizarre DNA structures, arms, brains and arms types of things, multiple brains. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, as most of us know, but they look terrifying to me. I wouldn't be surprised to see one float in outer space. So coming to a NASA photo, there you go, octopi in space. And Sean is right. It's not octopus. It's octopi. And how does this on Live Science? It says no. Octopuses don't come from outer space when it's octopi, people. Come on. Octopuses? That just sounds wrong, doesn't it? It just sounds wrong.
It does sound wrong. It sounds like men are from Mars,
Yeah, exactly.
Venus.
Or worse. Yeah.
Definitely worse.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. What do you guys think? Do you think these, as George Gosuklus would say, is that, therefore it must be aliens? I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's definitely aliens. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we've had probably closer encounters than that. Just FYI. But okay, so there we go. So we're gonna get to Project. What is it? Is it Project? Yeah. What's the Nazi program? It's called. What's it called?
Project Paperclip.
Thank you, Project Paperclip. I get the operations and the projects all screwed up. Project Paperclip. PP. Got it. All right. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to keep on moving. We got some crazy news here to cover. Check this out. Let's move to this one. We never do sports. So let's do a sport. We're going to cover sports for just a minute, okay? You guys will forgive us for just one moment here as we go to the New York Post and check in on the Red Sox in spring training and see how they're doing, Because you never know, right? Like sometimes you never know if you got sports fans listening. No, just kidding. Don't worry, it's not about sports. Only kind of in the periphery. All right, here we go. This is reported by the New York Post, and yeah, it says right here, Red Sox keep quarantining players over the coronavirus. Yeah, and right on top, they're trying to strike out coronavirus. Wow. These writers are so good. I tell you what.
Wow,
I tell you what. Taiwanese pitcher Chi Jung Liu has been bottled up in a Florida hotel room since his arrival from overseas, as the Red Sox are using an overabundance of caution. Liu, age 20, is the second Boston player to be quarantined by the organization after fellow countryman infielder Zhu Weilin was quarantined earlier this month due to worries over the virus that is believed to have originated in China. I tell you what, an overabundance of caution. So this is what's happening here. This is what's going on. I don't know what they're going to do when they play in front of thousands of people, 6 or 7 days a week for 6 months. But I mean, I guess, I don't know. I guess keeping him in the hotel room for a little bit will, maybe do something. Yeah. This is
They
what's going on, right?
They should up the ante. They should play for the antidote.
Yeah. The
winners
World
get the
Series winner,
antidote.
along with the World Series trophy, you actually get the antidote as well. Yeah. So there's a lot being talked about that in the political realm as well. The antidote, and is it going to be affordable and all this other stuff, right? Like it's sick that something like this happens. It's possibly a worldwide pandemic, and we're politicizing this stuff. It's just it's so gross. It's just so gross that that we always have to go there with stupid stuff, or blaming Trump for the coronavirus. It's just like, come on, get out of here, people. Get out of here, people.
Orange
Okay.
Man bad.
Yeah, Orange Man bad. What's up, Brian from let's see. All right, okay, cool. We're going to keep on moving here. So we have again, we're going to get to Project Paperclip shortly, and we're going to, as we cover the news here. So that's the Boston Red Sox quarantining a couple players in their hotel rooms, and so they don't get the rest of the team sick. Maybe they I guess they have the flu and they're scared they have the coronavirus. So yeah, there's that. All right, here's another one. We're going to go. So we go from one political segue to a political article here. And you'll forgive us for talking politics for just a moment, but this is pertinent. I think this is I think you could call this parapolitics. It's not really definitely specifically straight away political, but we'll read this. The headline is from thehill.com, and Tulsi Gabbard says, presidential candidates must also condemn election interference by U.S. intelligence agencies. Like so you mean that all the hubbub about Russia for the last 3.5 years or whatever is actually second to what our actual intelligence agencies are doing by meddling in our own damn elections? Oh yeah, that seems silly, doesn't it? That seems silly. How is this even right? No, right? No. Okay, so Tulsi Gabbard, many people know her. She's a congressperson from Hawaii, the great state of Hawaii, and she's running for president. Except she's not allowed. She's one of the ones who was just not allowed. Right? The DNC hates her, much like they hate Bernie Sanders. Which we're gonna not get into that too much. But interesting, right? That she's actually calling for the rest of these the what would you call them? Charlatans or demagogues, or what would you call them? I don't know. Definitely, I wouldn't say anything kind about most of these people. Let's just say any of these people, these politicians. But so she's saying that they should condemn actual election interference by intelligence agencies like the CIA, the FBI, and like I always go off on James Comey and how he leaks and lies and gets away with this and that, and he's not prosecuted, right? For some reason, these people are above the law. They're allowed to interfere in elections. They're allowed to go on CNN and Fox as pundits, and basically, like we have intelligence operations happening right there in plain view on television every night. You just turn on the TV, and that's what you get. It's I don't know, man. The world we live in, right? What do you think about that one, Ash? What the hell?
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is establishment for sure. She speaks out against war. A lot of things profit, and I believe that the intelligence agency killed JFK. Or in it, they did a Reddit dump not too long ago. They dumped a bunch of classified stuff Reddit not too long ago, and if you parse through it, you could basically get like a hint of the CIA and the FBI, and they covered up the murder after JFK was killed. They like kind of hid stuff, and Russia, there was evidence that they knew about a coup going on here, and yeah, it's like if you elect an official, if the people elect an official, the bureaucracy in Washington, they should not be able to override your vote, and that's messed up. And so, these are unelected people who are pulling the shots, and they get away with running like cocaine, and our CIA has gotten away with a lot of messed up stuff in the past, and they influence elections. We've seen that with some of the text messages that were revealed. They leak to the press and go back and forth. It's just kind of gross. It's like let the people elect who they want, and stay the hell out of it with your these agencies also get kind of infiltrated by foreign entities, cults, and all kinds of crap, and it's just kind of scary, right? So I commend her. Is she even on the stage anymore?
No, she's technically still running, but she hasn't made enough donations or polled high enough to actually be on the debate stages. So I think she cut it off at the pass by saying that she chose not to attend the debates. She's boycotting, but they also won't let her on the stage. So there's that. it's
Crazy.
It's different if you say
we
it.
got an open pedophile. Some guy freaking just bought his way in there in like a week.
Two guys.
You know, we got Crazy Bernie. We got all these people up there.
It's
can't have like a war hero up there.
yeah, exactly, or something. This is pretty nuts. But again, right? So this is the intelligence agencies meddling in elections, right? So Tulsi Gabbard saying that, hey, we need to condemn this stuff because it's happening right there in plain sight. Like you literally, like I said, you turn on the TV tonight, and odds are you get like John Brennan or one of these guys that actually ran the CIA. Actually on TV, like giving a political opinion, and aren't these positions supposed to be apolitical, right? When you run these huge intelligence agencies like this, it's this entire thing is it's a grotesque shit show. And here we are again being dragged through the mud one more time as we listen to all these demagogues that can't change a damn thing because they'd only be temporary employees anyway, right? Like beholden to the deep state, which is actually the intelligence community. This is a joke. This entire process is a joke. It's a joke that we think that they have any power once they get in, as you can tell from if they don't want you to do anything, we get the Orange Man bat in, and then they start resisting from the inside, right? Resist, okay. So I guess nobody really gives a shit about what the American people think or vote for. We just we do what Jim Comey says. That's what we do. We do what the CIA tells us. And this is sad. This is sad.
In the mainstream media too, right? Which is clearly co-opted by the CIA. Anderson Cooper has someone walked up to him and they asked him, how did you get a news reporter job at one of the biggest news places in the world with nothing but CIA experience? He graduated from the CIA. He was like trained at the CIA. His next job was like CNN reporter. It's like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how it works, right? That's all you need. Because, in the interview, they ask, okay, are you going to shit on the president? And they say, yep, yes, yeah, you bet I will. They're like, can you start Monday? I mean, it's as simple as that, right? That's literally where we're at. And can you take your inside connections and what you've done in the past, and then use that to shit on him? You bet I will. All right, can you start early on Monday? You're in. It's just incredibly stupid. It's really dumb. It's really dumb. Let's see. Kelly, what's up? Says, sorry to tell you, but your votes don't matter. They pick their president. It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? What's up, Juan Carlos? Thanks for showing up. Yeah, it says Ash keeps cutting off for a sec. Ash, can you check your noise gate there? If everything else is right,
really?
maybe check the noise gate in Discord. Yeah, it's kind of cutting just.
Is it doing it for you too?
Yeah, for me too.
Or just
for me too. No, it's me too.
Damn
it's through Discord. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on, if it's the cord still or if it's I would say check the noise gate because it seems like it's kind of clipping on your voice just a smidge, just barely, just enough to kind of clip off like the end of your sentences. So there we go. All right. So as you look at that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on to the next one. So guys, what do you guys think about that? Again, this is live. So if you want to be a part of the show, 702-957-1037. We're just talking about the news for now. We got some other stuff coming on. We're going to talk about the Nazis, everybody's favorite villain, and Operation Paperclip and or Project Paperclip, whatever the hell it is. We'll get to that in a sec. I have it written down, I promise. And I'll say it correctly when we get to it. But we'll get to that shortly. But if you want to be on the show, what do you think about this so far? What do you think about the intelligence agencies basically interfering in elections, which they shouldn't be? They should be apolitical bodies. They should be told what to do by the administrations, by the elected officials, and they're not. They're totally not. They're doing whatever the hell they want. They're rogue operations, and this is unfortunately where we're at. And how does that make you feel? And does that make you get you geared up and want to go run out and vote for somebody, or does it make you feel like less and less we really have a say in anything? That's what it seems like to me, unfortunately. But hey, I've been called a pessimist in the past. So there's good things, there's bad things, and then there's pessimists, and I guess that's me. So. or on the bad end of things. Okay, so anyway, there we go. So we got Tulsi Gabbard is one. All right, so let's move on to this next one. We got other stuff. We got other stuff to talk about here. Oh, do you guys remember the This is reported by thedrive.com and the Warzone, which is fantastic. By the way, we talk about these guys now and again because they have great reporting. But do you remember the Colorado drone mystery? Remember we were talking about that, and we were kind of following it as it developed. And there was the drones kind of flying around in Colorado. They had different situations happening where they were like they'd be like maybe a dozen of them. They'd be large drones, not like ones, not like the DJI Phantoms or whatever. The ones you actually like, commercial drones, big ass drones in the sky, right? Just kind of hovering, just kind of watching things. And so they reported to the sheriff's office, and it was well covered, right? Like for a good, I don't know, like probably 2 to 4 weeks. Like it was covered pretty well if you were paying attention to the news at all. And so they were mysteries. It was literally a mystery. Nobody knew what was going on. The government didn't fess up to it. The sheriff's department in these counties, had no idea what was happening, but the reports just kept coming in. People had photographs of these things, and yeah, I mean, okay. And then to boot, if you recall, which kind of, put this to bed, the government came out and said, I don't remember which agency it was, but remember, we were told that this was just a mass hallucination. You remember that? This was like maybe 10 days ago. So they basically told us that this is what happened. It's a mass hallucination. This really didn't go down, except. Here we go. It was reported by thedrive.com in the Warzone, and Brett Tingley is the individual who wrote this. So FOIA emails obtained show that security forces and officials at F.E. Warren Air Force Base were just as perplexed with the drones as the public. Wow. So you mean this wasn't swamp gas? This wasn't pareidolia or mass hallucinations, like they said, which is weird. You might actually think that was propaganda, wouldn't you? If a bunch of news articles came out saying that these things were actually just mass hysteria, I guess, right? Come on now. Come on, people! Like there were photographs of these things. There were people reporting them to the sheriff. The sheriff was out looking for them, which was covered in newspapers in Denver and other places of Colorado. I mean, this is ridiculous. But so now the FOIA information comes out, and so the F.E. Warren Air Force Base had no idea right here. So right from the FOIA, hey Colonel, northeastern Colorado is in a tizzy about drone sightings. They all seem clustered in an area that has quite a few Minuteman sites, missiles, of course. Do you know if security forces is playing with the UASs up there? So these are documents that came out from the FOIA, and the Air Force Base nearby had no idea what the hell was going on. They were trying to find out what was happening. So now are you telling us that this was still mass hallucinations, and now our mass hysteria, our military at the Air Force Base, F.E. Warren Air Force Base, was under mass hallucinations as well? Or what's going on here? I have no idea.
What the hell does mass hallucinate mean?
Yeah, that's that. Okay, so mass hysteria, right? That was exactly like how can you do that without, I don't know, like, tapping into people's brains? It's like they say that they let's look it up. Let's look this up real quick and see what this actually says.
That a group, like an area, just suddenly became crazy, and it became contagious.
Let's look it up.
What the hell?
No, like
I love how like a mainstream narrative can just write anything off like so easily. It just be like, hey, this guy stabbed someone. Like, no, that's just a conspiracy. It's like we have video of it and the guy's dead. Yeah,
exactly. It's just a conspiracy.
So easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to kind of just call it something else. It's ridiculous. All right, so let's look at this. What is mass hysteria? So it's actually, there's a technical term, and this is from the Ministry of Truth, of course, Wikipedia, which is, of course, where we go if we want to stick to the brainwash narrative. So here we are. It's called mass psychogenic illness, also known as mass psychogenic disorder, epidemic hysteria, or mass hysteria, is the rapid spread of illness signs and symptoms affecting members of a cohesive group originating from a nervous system disturbance involving excitation, loss, or alteration of function, whereby physical complaints that are exhibited unconsciously have no corresponding organic etiology. That sounds like a bunch of horse shit to me. It sounds like I'd rather buy what's his name, the ayahuasca explanation from Alex Jones than that bunch of BS. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That because I'm excited, I'm agitated because I saw something in the sky, that my neighbors are suddenly excited and agitated because I saw something in the sky and they may not have, because I told them about it, that I brainwashed them personally? I mean, what the hell's actually going on here? Anyway, so that's what they said. They said it was mass hallucinations, like this, whatever this was again. Let's get the actual Ministry of Truth says mass psychogenic illness. Okay. They
Sure,
note
yeah.
dancing plagues of the Middle Ages are thought to have been caused by mass hysteria. So dancing plagues. So
What?
there. Yeah. Okay. So in the Middle Ages, they had they get like these religious groups, these small cults together, and they'd be kind of go dancing from like marching together, like from one town to the next, and it was supposed to be some sort of like a rain dance to defeat the plague type of thing, right? But I mean, is that really mass hysteria? Like they didn't see any UFOs as far as I know. It's just
Right.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
it sounds like a football game,
or worse.
right? Isn't that mass hysteria?
A football game is
You know?
fun. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, but like people are like drinking and yelling and they're like going crazy together. That's kind of like mass hysteria. That's different than like a shit ton of people seeing something. I wonder if the Phoenix Lights happened now, they'd be like, oh, mass hysteria.
mass hysteria. Yeah, I think that's what it's called now. But again, so that was one of the and the reason why it's so funny in the UFO community is because J. Allen Hynek, right, from Project Blue Book fame, which he's played by the Littlefinger chap that played in Game of Thrones on the History Channel special Project Blue Book. So that particular character was a real scientist and actually did the Blue Book investigations for the government. And a lot of the things that came up were swamp gas. He's the one who came up with that, right? They wrote off some UFO sightings as swamp gas or ball lightning or mass hysteria. So that's why it's kind of funny that that this term comes back now with these drones in Colorado. So there's that mass hysteria. But anyway, I digress. But let's one more time. Mass psychogenic illness, not mass hysteria. Yeah. So anyway, so now I guess the government and the Air Force Base, F.E. Warren Air Force Base, just as perplexed. So there's actual FOIA documents that say that they saw them too, and they were trying to figure out what the hell was going on with these drones. So how does that make you feel? Wow, right? Mass hysteria.
Yeah. It's like Men in Black, you know, the whole joke when they're flashing when it's a swamp gas, they hit a thing, it's upside down, right? Like you always say, it's like the upside down.
It seems like. And but so that was supposedly put to bed. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is then they weren't sure what to say about it, but then the Air Force used it toward this whole potential false flag alien thing. Oh, we don't know what it is either. Oh, we don't know UFOs, the aliens, we don't know. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like they spun it in the direction they want. It could literally be like anything, and the military can come out with an official statement, and that's what people will believe.
Yeah,
no matter what.
This is the weird part, right? And so if you this is reported widely in the mainstream media and local news and all over the place, because it was not just happening in Colorado, it was happening in Nebraska as well. Just swarms of drones, like dozens of drones in the sky, just kind of hovering, like watching, right? Just out there. And so nobody really said they were UFOs. Well, I mean, maybe some people did, but for the most part, it was understood that they were drones, and they were just out there kind of hovering and watching, right? Because everybody knows drones have cameras. So what were they doing? They're out there at night. What are they watching? What are they doing? Like, these were the questions being asked. And then suddenly, like I said, about a week or 10 days ago, something like that, the news on these just shut down because the explanation was it was that mass hysteria. And so you wonder where that comes from, right? Was that like the CIA kind of stepped in and said, hey guys, somebody picks up the phone and contacts the news agencies and just says, hey, no, this is not a thing. We have to make this go away. This is what we're going to say, right? Because you think that there's got to be an official response. And if the press is not in lockstep with the powers that be, then you can't ever get a handle on anything, can you? I mean, this is nuts. This is crazy stuff. This is, again, so now it's in the news one more time, but now it's from a FOIA request where the documents come out, and the Air Force Base nearby had no idea what was going on. This is drones in southwest Nebraska, Perkins County. and they had no idea what was happening. Mass hysteria.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
it was just like a military program, but it was illegal, so they couldn't say. You know what I mean? Yeah, I wonder if they were practicing. I mean, if a military is going to be messing with drones, right? So they're definitely going to be trying all sorts of stuff. I myself mess with drones, and I'm like looking into programming and messing with them or whatever. So, I mean, if our military is going to do it, are they going to do it in the middle of the desert? Or they're going to do it somewhere else? And yeah, whatever. I mean, who cares? All they have to do is say it was mass hysteria. They can do wherever they want.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, right? And so notice, so if they say that, now this is the troubling part. So let's say they say this, and the way the news cycle is they just keep bombing out crap after crap, like garbage article after garbage article, 24 hours a day. This stuff just keeps coming out, lies and lies and lies. And now this, I wonder if in a year from now anybody will remember about this drone thing at all, because the media is not going to touch it, right? It seems like they've been given the nod, the wink. Hey, the phone call, don't touch this anymore, guys, right? And so it's going to disappear. Though I don't think that the drones have stopped happening, right? I think just that the media has stopped reporting on it, and that's what they said. So that they said that the mass hysteria came from false media reports. That's what it was about 10 days ago when we covered it. So, I mean, yeah, this stuff's crazy, right? Like they expect us to just forget. They expect that their data dumping of the news cycle will brainwash us and make us forget the things that we should remember, and then only make us pay attention to impeachment or whatever the hell they think is on the top of the brain. So anyway, goofy stuff. Actual FOIA documents now that say that this stuff did happen, and the individuals at the Air Force Base had no idea. So there we go. There's proof. We got proof. Actual government documents that this shit happened. So sorry, government, you lose. You lose this one. They're out there. We got to figure out what they're doing. Is it a private thing? Is it
bitch?
Exactly.
Next
Somebody
time,
wins.
One for us.
Yep, one for us. One for the people on this one. But now we got to figure out whether they're coming from, and see if this keeps getting reported in the mainstream, and which would be your clue, right? Your first clue. Okay, so anyway, let's move on now. What else you got news wise? Let's grab one of yours, Ash.
Yeah, so I got two stories. Both are really awesome, interesting. The first one was sent to me by a few people. It's the Jam 945 iHeart. Okay, I should have checked the URL. But anyway, this one's been kind of around. It's NASA captures footage of UFO on space station live feed. So so during a NASA flight session where they kind of had the camera out and they were kind of shooting footage from the space station, the ISS, a metallic object pops up and it's on camera for 22 minutes. And it's even the person operating the camera zooms in on the object, like, what the hell is that? And it's on camera for 22 minutes. Then when it gets to the top of the camera, you see a jet stream and it kind of takes off. So this is really convincing UFO footage in a sense where, I mean, I had half a dozen people send me this, which means they were convinced, oh, this is something. They tried writing it off as like space debris and like a capsule or some sort of other excuse, but you can see toward the end of the footage, it does kind of have a jet stream and takes off.
Yeah, so I'm playing some of the video here. I'll link the video if you guys want to check it out. But and Kelly did link this to us in the Discord there, and I was salty that day because it was from our good buddies, my good buddy anyway, Grant from Third Phase of Moon, the YouTube channel. So I was a little bit salty about it, but it was reported by tons of people, and this is it. This is what we're looking at. So this is actually just kind of floating. This is the ISS, yeah. International Space Station, and it's whatever's out there is just kind of mirroring what's happening, and kind of floating along with it. And of course the general, the debunk of this is well, that's just space debris, right? Like we were just talking about at the beginning of the show tonight, is that there's a ton of debris up there in space. There's tons of garbage, tons of rocket boosters break apart and kind of float up there. These types of things, right? But this in particular, it seems to just kind of be floating along the ISS like a craft down there, like some monitoring. It certainly doesn't appear to be a satellite, at least not one that I'm used to seeing. The standard satellite shape. It looks like a craft. It looks like some sort of actual object, like kind of just
Yeah,
Floating along.
look, see right there, it takes off.
Yeah.
You see it.
Thing just takes off in a sec
Shortly.
here. All right, yeah. So he zooms it up. So it was. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. So it was kind of just floating along with it, but then it just kind of zips off and takes off into space, right? Like literally goes away. I didn't watch this to the end, but I did link it if you guys want to check it out. Crazy stuff. What's up, Sherry? Thanks for showing up. I see there on Facebook. This is yeah. I mean, so what is this? Is this more mass hysteria? Is this a swamp gas, pareidolia? What is this?
Yeah, Sean. We have a comment. Sean says, the Black Knight video. Well, I mean, it could be the Black Knight. This isn't that same footage. This is really recent, actually, new.
Yeah, this is
But
brand new.
it does look kind of like the Black Knight. You guys are familiar with that kind of UFO lore.
Yeah, the Black Knight satellite. We did a whole show on that back in the day. If you guys want to learn more about that, that's go back to Troubled Minds, click on the YouTube, and it's on there. It's on there. We talked about the Black Knight. It was done in the same show with Men in Black. Let's see what we did there. See what we did there.
That, huh?
Yeah, it does look a little bit like the Black Knight satellite, or anything. This could be an extraterrestrial craft. This could be like a top secret one of ours or one of theirs. You know what I mean? That conversation kind of starts to happen with this. But this is nuts. This is nuts. So I did link the article itself and the video if you guys haven't seen it. Pretty good stuff. Thanks to Kelly and the rest of you guys for pointing this out earlier. This was pointed out earlier this week when it first hit, and it kind of makes you scratch your head, right? Like, what's going on out there? And if this is space junk, shouldn't it just be kind of floating in like a trajectory that isn't kind of an orbital trajectory that doesn't just take off?
Yeah.
just vanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's it doing up there? And
Yeah.
It's pretty big, actually. Whatever it is, it's sizable because it's far away, right? So, it's bigger than a bus, way bigger. Right?
Yeah. And so there we go. It's the short bus in space. There, I had to do it. I had to do it.
All the certain aliens around there. Like,
well, you were driving that, weren't you, Ash? You were driving that. All right. So
get off,
yeah, right. So that's the thing, right? So what is that, guys? Is that what do you think about that? I know many of you saw this. If you pay attention to the news at all, the UFO type news, you'll know that these things happen all the time, right? This ends up in the International Space Station or NASA footage, or like there's all kinds of stuff where you scratch your head and go, what the hell is this? And they always have a space debris or pareidolia or swamp gas or mass hysteria, whatever it is, right? There's always an answer, or they ignore it and don't address it. But they expect that those are the answers, right? Those are the types of answers we expect from them.
But this one is like, you see it, it's moving slowly, and it's 22 minutes. You know what I mean? It's high quality video, or good enough. You can't deny there's something there. You just can't. A lot of times it's dark. You'll see some movement. It's kind of like, you can kind of brush it off. That is something, and they're freaking zooming in on it. So, and from what I understand, they talk about it too. You start saying coordinates, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, definitely super interesting. That's some good footage. I usually hate UFO footage because it makes the whole community look stupid, because a lot of it's crap. That's a lot of good footage.
Yeah, a lot of it's CGI, like Sean there said. So much is faked. But this is again from an official source, and the thing's right there. Like it's hard to deny like what we're looking at. So it's if it was garbage, right? It would stick in the same orbit as the ISS, right? Because it would be kind of stuck in its little gravitational hold there. But no, right. This thing just takes off. It just shoots off and then flies off into space, like just like all the junk does in space. Just kind of just eventually just shoots off into space.
There's some of the comments on that video. Most aliens here on holiday have already shipped out as the fear of coronavirus.
Well, there you go. That's why they're taking off on holiday. I mean, yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think this is more swamp gas or pareidolia, mass hallucinations, or anything? Or do you think this is Venus? Maybe we're misidentifying Venus in the night sky. that's another common one. How they debunk these things. But I mean, again, right? If this kind of falls on into the UFO lore on some guy's YouTube channel and they never address it, this never gets talked about, right? They expect us to forget these things. But the more these things happen, the more the evidence stacks up that something is out there that they're not telling us. And whether it's ours or theirs, go ahead.
Are like, they're like arguing over what it is, right? And they're like, oh, it broke off in the space station during the maintenance, and they didn't want to go out in the spacewalk to retrieve it. People are writing it off.
Right. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
other people are like, whatever. And so the Skippy1138 on YouTube, he says, so the toolbox suddenly got jet propulsion to shoot up into space with a paper trail. Lol, 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 lol.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Good job, Skippy11.
Yeah. Good job. Good job, Skippy. Skippy on YouTube. Good comment. I mean, that's the thing, right? So, I mean, this is what we're looking at. These are the types of things that continue to happen, and we talk about them often. And yeah, again, thanks again to all the folks who did point this out to us. But this is happening. This is real. This is real.
Some good footage. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, good footage.
I got one more article.
All right.
Even
fire it off. What
I
you
got
got,
one
buddy?
bombshell news article, and then you got all the news from here on out. But,
Okay, you got it, buddy.
I really wanted to get this one in.
All right.
So NBCnews.com, so official mainstream news, 60,000 antelope die in 4 days. Let me repeat that. 60,000 antelope die in 4 days, and no one knows why. What do you think about that? Just on that title.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. So Ash linked this to me a couple days back, and I was just reading something online where they were talking about something that happened back around Dugway. Everybody remembers Dugway in Utah, the proving ground out there. They say it's Area 52, right? Like there's other underground bases suggested as being there, and aliens and all kinds of stuff, right? There's a whole bunch of lore with Dugway. But somewhere around there in 1968, they had something like between 4,000 and 6,000 sheep just suddenly die for no apparent reason, right? So this is not the first time this has happened, but this is 60,000 antelope died in 4 days. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Does it have any theories in the article here, or is it just?
So there's a little more information. So they had reported that there was dead animals in the area. In there, so there was a decent amount of die-offs, but they weren't really alarmed. They were kind of like maintaining the data and keeping an eye on it. But yeah, they said within 4 days, the entire herd of 60,000 Sega had died. As veterinarians,
conservationists
try to stem the die-off. They also got word of a similar population crashes in other herds across Kazakhstan. By early June, the mass dying was over. So now the researchers have found clues as to how more than half the country's herd, counting at 250,000, have died as of 2014. So they think bacteria played a role. But they're not sure how these normally harmless microbes could take such a toll in such a short time. So, yeah, they have never. Okay, here we go. The extent of this die-off and the speed it had by spreading throughout the whole herd and killing all the animals, this has not been observed for any other species. It's really unheard of. So, that I don't know. That scares the shit out of me. So I think it's like something with bacteria and the soil and the environment, blah 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 blah. But I mean,
freaking science!
What the hell?
Freaking science! Leave us alone already. Yeah, I mean, so that one that happened in around Dugway, 1968. You guys can look it up. It was a sheep. It was thousands of sheep, and it was actually related to the biological weapons program that was happening at Dugway. So that's kind of why I was like, wait a minute. So this actually wasn't new. This is from 2015. I see in the article here. But so antelope, 60,000 antelope, right? And then we have another instance, Dugway, 1968, thousands of sheep. Kind of made me link the two in my head, but I don't know if they're related. I mean, one was biological weapons. The other was biological something, right? So I wonder.
This is from 2016?
I wonder. 2015 even. 2015, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoops.
That's all right.
Blew that.
That's all right. because 60,000 antelope. But that's a lot, right? So apparently, if they figured this out, then there would be follow-ups to this, you would think. So maybe see if there's any answers. I doubt it. I really doubt it, because there's rarely answers, right? Because like the coronavirus possibly being a bioweapon, I said it, possibly being a bioweapon. Maybe this is the type of thing that gets leaked out into nature, right? Maybe they're testing it. Who knows? That's a lot of antelope to die in 4 days. And yeah, Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So anyway, what do you guys think about everything so far? What do you think this is something nefarious, or you think that the government's in on this, or do you think it's just nature doing its thing? What do you think? What do you think? And let me know if you guys have heard about that Dugway incident in 1968 with the sheep, or if this is interesting at all to you, and you'd rather just talk about aliens, the mantis beings from Mars. Let us know. Let us know. As always, we want to know what you think, and that's why we do the show live. We appreciate you being part of it, and we'll read the chat as we go. But do call 702-957-1037. Join the Discord by going to troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, and you're on the show. There you go. Bing, bang, boom. And yeah, we'll answer the phone if you call. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anything else on this, Ash?
I'm trying to find I just see a lot of stuff about poaching and blah blah blah.
Damn science.
Anything that's crazy.
Damn science.
Yeah, I mean that's scary. Anyway,
yeah, pretty frightening.
Pretty nuts.
Pretty frightening.
But yeah, I mean, what else could it possibly be? You're right. I mean, if we're gonna go full tinfoil hat, it could be there's some sort of weapon or radiation, some sort of virus. I mean, something would have to transfer between all of them very quickly. I mean, it could be that they all consumed the same food source and it was poisonous that killed them. If you look at the pictures, they all look pretty bloated. I don't know if you noticed that, unless all the ones in front are pregnant. Sorry to be morbid, but I don't know. This one bothers the hell out of me. It scares me. It's like, if 60,000 antelope can die just like pretty much overnight, you know what I mean? Like, what can cause that, and something like that come to humans? But yeah, pretty gnarly.
We may be looking at it. We may be looking at it. Sean says an EMW test. It could be right. Let's see. Todd says rather talk about aliens. Yeah, we know that. Let's see. Kelly says I see UFOs out there while traveling to the Nevada border to go to the casinos out there. Yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff in the sky out here in Nevada, right? Area 51 is there. This whole area in the desert. You see some wacky stuff. Barstow down there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely wacky stuff.
Supposedly, gray aliens or certain alien groups live on much harsher planets, hotter, so they prefer the desert. And if you live in the desert or you spend some time in the desert, especially places like Arizona, it's beautiful. So it's probably like you'll probably get to work here on this planet, and it's kind of like a vacation at the same time. You know?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it reminds them of Mars. Yeah, who knows?
The good old Mars days.
Yeah, the good old Mars days. Yeah, who knows? Okay, a couple more real quick, and then we'll finish this up. We'll get on to the Nazis, which everybody loves Nazis, and the rocket program that came over in World War II. Okay, so check this out. This is reported by the Washington Examiner, and this is from my friends in California. We have lots of folks that listen in California. What's up, Juan Carlos? What's up, Dan from SoCal? Talking to you guys. There's more. We got family from out there. I got grew up in California, so lots of people that listen to the show from California, and. Oh, this is too good. So this is Governor Gavin Newsom. So just recently, in the past like year and a half, they passed in they put in a gas tax in California, right? Because the roads out there are so busted up. Everybody that lives in California knows, right? They pay one of the highest tax rates in the whole country, and the roads are just dicked, just screwed. Like no matter like your potholes, like not just pop your tire, like bend your rim. Like it's terrible. Like there's like for all the gas taxes they've already paid, they get broken roads. So then they decided, okay, we'll just up the gas tax one more time. We'll have the voters vote on it. For some reason, they voted it in, which makes no sense to me. Like, you guys can't figure it out with the money you got. Give you more money, and you still won't figure it out, right? Well, guess what? My love of government comes through. So critics argue Governor Gavin Newsom is diverting gas tax money to projects voters did not approve of. So how much money do they need to fix the roads, right? I guess that's the question. Or is it just not a priority? I think that's probably the real like the reality of the situation here. But I mean, this is so not only so here we go. Governor Gavin Newsom is coming under fire for an executive order he signed that directs voter-approved gas taxes initially designed to expand transportation and infrastructure repair projects to climate change. Climate change related projects not authorized by the voters. So that's what he's using it on instead. Yeah, slush fund. Yeah, exactly.
That's a slush, guys. Let me tell you something, right? Okay. Let me tell you something. If you want to ship your money to a centralized location where sociopaths propagate, and then you think that they're gonna solve your problems, and they're not, and you think that shipping them more money is gonna help. Look, there's slush funds everywhere. When you donate to other countries, you're getting screwed. It's basically like when you try to do a nice thing, a sociopath is there ready
to
take
cut
the
you
money.
off.
Yeah, because they don't give a shit. They're sociopaths, right? So they think that sociopaths think that normal people like us are stupid. They think we're weaker. They think that they're like more evolved or whatever. And the only thing, like, and basically they are. If we're stupid, if we fall into these kind of things,
So you're saying that right.
You're letting them.
You're saying that
So
right.
like we gotta wise up, and it's nice to like go around your life and think that things are sunshine, sunshine and rainbows and dewdrops. But these people exist. I've seen them, and they don't even sometimes they don't even know. They just think that's how other people think or whatever. But you got to be aware that this is happening and that there's evil people, and anytime you ship money off to the government, those people are there.
Yeah.
It's just
it's unfortunate.
It's especially prominent in California. I mean,
yeah. Well, the
I used
more
to live there,
government,
and you could clearly see,
yeah,
like the classes, right? You like you take BART around, and you can see where the rich people live. And if you go hang out with the rich people, and this is not all of them, some of them are a little messed up. Anyway, you guys know. I think most of you guys know this stuff. I'm preaching to the choir, right?
Yep,
I
definitely.
think a lot of the people who are not listening to the show kind of need like a little lesson, a little life lesson. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So there we go. There's more government, right? So let's go to the extreme, right? So this is more government. This is Gavin Newsom. He's taking the gas money that was supposed to fix the roads, that they didn't fix the roads from the gas money, the gas tax money they were getting before. That now that you see this endless circle of shit they're not going to do because they just don't think it's important because they've got donors to appease. That's really what's happening here. And so no matter what, they get it. They're going to misappropriate it. They're going to waste, fraud, and abuse. This is the thing. And they think that, again, they think we're stupid. So next time they ask for more taxes and they put it to a vote. What do you tell them, guys? What do you tell them? You tell them screw off,
Suck
right?
it.
No, vote no, vote no, suck it. Yeah, no, we're not giving you more money because the last time we did, you stole it from us. And you still didn't fix our damn roads. We still have to make the same commute every day. We're still driving as much as we did. Nothing changed except you've stolen our money now. And now you want more, right? No, absolutely not. Okay, so one more. We're going to do one more.
It's so funny that it's for climate change because what we did, I don't know if you guys were here for that. We did the climate change show. We showed how the UN was running out of money and that they're in a series of articles, they literally lay it out. It's almost like the elites, they have to be open. They have to be transparent about what they're doing. They have to tell you what they're doing, almost as if like, well, if you fall for it, it's your own fault. It's like a universal law that they believe. And we showed how they're running out of money. They need money. So they were going to use climate change as an excuse. Then they used climate change as an excuse. They raised money. They doubled their budgets, and there you go. So there's all these parasites living off this money. When the spigot shuts down, they're gonna find. Why would they go and find ways to make money? They don't know any other ways at this point. They're gonna just, come at you with a different story or some other angle to get the spigot turned on again.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing around the world. So. Anyway, that's enough for me.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Quiet over there. Quiet in the corner. Quiet in the corner. All right, so here we go. One more. That we're going to jump into the Nazis, everybody's favorite. Okay, so this is reported by the IB Times, the International Business Times, and look at this. So going from, like I said, from one government, some overreaching government that steals our money, to another one. We're going to go to North Korea. North Korea's first confirmed coronavirus patient shot dead. So they officially maintain that there are no cases of novel coronavirus, except reports are leaking out that they did find somebody with it and they just instantly capped them, dragged them off and burned them, and that was that. Like instantly, like no messing around. And this is how these governments do it, right? When you give government all the power, what do? These are the types of things they do. First, they steal your money, and then they start doing things like this. So there you go. I know, California is not North Korea, right? Okay, so everybody back off. Everybody chill. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying it starts somewhere. That's what I'm saying. And it's unfortunate. The stuff that's leaked from China and the things they've been talking about, It's crazy. It's crazy what's happening in China. They're just murdering people. They're welding up their homes and quarantining them against their will. They're sticking them in there, not letting them out. They're like, well, nope, somebody in there has it, so we're going to just weld it shut and keep everybody inside. So until everybody dies, and then we'll just come collect the corpses afterward, right? Like, that's what's happening. So, I mean, this is terrible. This is awful stuff. North Korea, they just capped the dude, move on. I mean, yeah, terrible, terrible stuff. So anyway, I did link it if you guys want to check it out. Not making this stuff up. Reported by somebody else. The International Business Times says that North Korea's first coronavirus patient shot dead from a report. So,
yeah. I mean, that's one way to take care of it. And it's like, no one wants to catch the coronavirus, so I'm just going to stay home. That's like, can you imagine the population? They're walking around, and they're like, they might have a cough or, and then kind of like look around. Oh, nope, nothing to see here. They just keep walking.
Yeah, or you get reported. Your neighbor reports you. He heard you cough. That's it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You could report the neighbor that you don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, did they even test the person? Did they just shoot someone who was coughing?
Here's the problem, right? I'm hearing that that it's tough to test because they don't have enough of the tests available yet. Like, the test kits are not widely available yet. So I don't know how they would have them in North Korea to verify that. So maybe it was a political hit. Who knows? But again, it was from a report, right? So who knows what that means? Whether it's exaggerated, inaccurate, or whatever. But that's what reported by the International Business Times. So we're going to stick with that because that's what they reported. Whether it's propaganda or whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. So, all right. So let's go ahead.
You know what's funny is, we mentioned how all these slush funds and the UN was running out of money and they're big globalist parasites. What if, here's a good conspiracy theory, they're running out of money, climate change wasn't really convincing the people enough. And a lot of these deep state actors, they kind of own pharmacy companies. They have a lot of investments in that. It's kind of an evil market, right? It's kind of a soulless market. What if they release the coronavirus themselves to get funding? And now they're being critical of Trump and wherever they can to get more funding, right? Because I know a lot of pharmaceutical companies, their stocks went up overnight. There's a little conspiracy view, a little tinfoil hat. I wonder if their connections will be exposed over time.
As the money flows, you are rife for corruption. So there it is. There it is. Okay, so let's we're moving on to this. So this is the story of how ex-Nazis and Jewish scientists got to the U.S. to the moon. So everybody knows this story a little bit. So we'll get into the brief of this. This is Project Paperclip, and then we'll get into some of the ethics involved and some of the things you may not know about this. So we'll tell you how that's going to shake out in just a sec. But let's play this video. I did link this in the chat there if you guys want to check it out on your own time. But we're going to play some of it right now. And action.
This is a story about clandestine operations, international intrigue, and jealously guarded secrets. It's about engineering marvels and technological nightmares. It's a big story, but it starts very, very small. Inside a cigar box full of letters. Melinda Hess is a filmmaker who came across letters her father had written in 1946. Her father, Sanford Hess, died in 1989, but in 1946 he was a young private in the U.S. Army, deployed to Fort Bliss, Texas, and corresponding with his parents back in New York City. The war was over, and Sandy Hess, a promising young mechanical engineer, found himself stationed deep in the Southwest, working on something. Here's Melinda.
I didn't know very much about my father's time in the military. I knew that he was an engineer. I had a vague awareness that he was in New Mexico.
The letters from Fort Bliss bore an address that piqued Melinda's curiosity: Ordnance Research and Development Suboffice, Rocket.
So I started going through the letters, and I started reading them out loud, and there were various names that started coming through.
A few things kept recurring: Germans,
Werner von Braun,
engineers,
White Sands Missile Range,
Jewish,
V2s.
So Melinda began to read about it all.
And as I began to do some more research, I was completely blown away by what was revealed.
The V2 in those letters was the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, and it was developed by Nazi Germany. The V2, which in German stands for Retribution's Weapon 2, rained down on Allied cities, chiefly London, and killed thousands of civilians. The missile also took its toll on German soil. The Nazis used concentration camp labor to build the V2, and thousands of prisoners died in the process. Nightmarish as it was, the V2 represented some seriously advanced technology, and when Germany fell in 1945, the United States went to great lengths to recover it.
Rivaling the atom bomb in importance, the deadly V-2 rocket bomb is assembled by U.S. engineers at White Sands Proving Ground near Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay, so lest we turn this into a substitute teacher day at history class, you guys get the point, right? So we can play a little bit more of this if you're into it. But so this this is where this came from. Like this is actually a Project Paperclip, and we actually we'll get into some of the details of where it started, how it came from. But this is one story of somebody that kind of found out after the fact that their grandfather actually worked for this program and was probably a Nazi. So we'll finish this up a little bit, but I know you heard some of that. What do you think, Ash, so far? I know. How about let's start this way? What have you heard of Project Paperclip? And before we start, and before we got into that, what do you know about it? Other than the basics is everybody knows Nazis came over, built some rockets, right? That's kind of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you like to be entertained by Alex Jones and sources of the like, you get exposed to the whole idea of Project Paperclip, where we were kind of at war with Germany and the axis of evil, or whatever you would call them at the time, and that once we won the war, they had more sophisticated machinery than we did in a lot of ways. They supposedly, if you I heard this, like in World War II, if you were an ally soldier and you came across a German gun, you just throw your shit to the side and you just pick up the German gun, because supposedly they were better engineered. And they even called it the German war machine, right? Because they were like engineered and excellent at that. And so when the war ended, we went to absorb as much of the skills as we could from the enemy. And that's kind of all I know about it. I know that they existed within programs and assisted us and stuff, but like, was it more than that? I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, so we're going to finish another couple minutes of this video. This is from Seeker. I did link it if you guys want to check it out. So this is where it started. This is where the story started. This is the beginning, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty after this. Let's play a couple more minutes of this, and then we'll keep on going. Action.
In the years following the war, the U.S. military's Project Paperclip brought more than 100 German scientists and engineers to America, most notably V2 project architect Wernher von Braun. They also imported literal trainloads of rocket components. Overall, the project was an American effort to develop Nazi tech on American soil for American gain. And that is what a young Sandy Hess describes in all those letters. Reading them gave Melinda a very personal look at a secretive and pivotal project. Here's one passage read by Melinda.
I will be the only American engineer in the test section. I will work with the Germans on the tests and write reports, etc. They call themselves prisoners of peace and are treated very well. I will work under a Dr. Schilling and with about 15 others. What a crazy setup.
And there's one other detail that makes this all the crazier still. Melinda is Jewish. Her father, Private Sandy Hess, was Jewish, and his letters reveal more than a little discomfort about working with Germans.
The major asked me if I had any animosity towards them, and I truthfully answered yes. He explained that he feels the same way, but I must realize that they are working for the U.S. government, and I must treat them like co-workers.
And that's exactly what he did. In the letters, Sandy describes befriending and working well with his German colleagues, though at the time none of them could know how historic their work would become. Under American direction, the V2 program evolved, splintered, and eventually led to the Saturn family of rockets, the very same rockets that sent Apollo astronauts to the moon. Meaning that lots of Project Paperclip scientists, including Wernher von Braun, ultimately ended up working for NASA. In short, our space program owes a lot to a careful collaboration between ex-Nazis and American Jews.
Okay, so I think, I think that's probably enough of that. So You get the idea. And I misspoke. Sorry about that. I said that her grandfather was a Nazi. He was not a Nazi. He had to work with a bunch of Nazis. So forgive me on that. That's a terrible detail to miss. Okay, but so this is the part most everybody knows, right? So like we adopted these scientists, these quote scientists. We brought them over into the from the European theater, World War II. They came over as prisoners of peace, like it said in these letters, and they were treated very well. And unfortunately, we had our people here that had to work with these folks. That what did they do? Like for the last 10 years, these scientists were working to kill us and kill our people, right? To kill the West, to take over the world. Like these are the ambitions of at least the regime they worked for, right? So. Yeah, I mean the terrible things that they came from, and maybe they had to do. This is pretty nuts, right? So it goes from the V2 rocket, which they supposedly brought over, to the Saturn V, which supposedly took us to the moon, right? So not to mention any kind of secret space program. There's hushed whispers in corners of the internet where they say that the Nazis had first contact, and they actually had Foo Fighters happening over there with the UFOs, and right. So there's some other things, secret space program whisperings, which we're not going to get into at this point. We're going to talk about the ethics and the story, the actual story, the UFO story, or not UFOs, the Project Paperclip story. So anyway, there we go. How about that there, real quick, Ash, and we'll keep on. I got some clips here from Annie Jacobson, who's fantastic. She wrote a book about this, and we'll get into some of that. But I mean, what the heck, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Be kind of. With her grandfather, it'd be like, if you're African American and you were like working alongside of the KKK, right? And like pretending like it's another day. It's an awkward position to be in. What a weird time. People were so openly racist. It's like it was a part of the ideology, right? But like, just because you work with your government doesn't mean that you like adopt all the beliefs. So. Who's to say how Nazi they were, to kind of say it.
Yeah, there's a song about Werner von Braun. We'll play it at the end. Remind me to play that song at the end. There's a song that kind of discusses exactly that.
Like
it's funny.
Space Force song, or
no, it's different. Yeah, it's different. It's not that. So we'll play that. Remind me to play the song before we finish up. So we'll play that in the end. Okay. So, but that's the point, right? Exactly like Ash said. What a weird time, right? So first these guys are trying to kill us, and then they're like, well, now they're your bosses, right? They're your quote colleagues, prisoners of peace. Go get them. Smack you on the ass. Go hang out with these Nazis all day and report on them. It's terrifying times, right? The things change. And even depicted in the show Project Blue Book on the History Channel, right, with J. Allen Hynek, like we said earlier, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, that whole bit. There's some apprehension working with Werner von Braun, then the Saturn V rocket guy, because he's a Nazi. He came from Nazi Germany and all the rest of this. So anyway, what do you guys think? What do you know about this? Is this interesting to you? Is this not? We can get into the secret space program on the back end of this, or whatever you guys want to add to this. This is open. This is open to you. We do this live, so you can contribute. If you think maybe we're missing something, there's an important detail that you need to add to this, you know what to do. Give us a call, 702-957-1037, right there. Right up on the stream. You can go to troubledminds.org, the official website, join the Discord, and also give us a call. You call, we will pick up, and we'll put you on. You can talk to Ash and Mike, and I think the phones work, and everything should be good. So there we are. All right, so let's play some of this. So now recently, here's where this kind of popped up to me. It kind of got back on my radar, and other people's, right? Because the way the news cycles work, it kind of it floats through. Maybe a TV show comes out, right? Something like this. So a TV show comes out, and which it's coming out on Amazon, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But then it resurfaces in the news, right? So Project Paperclip, everybody forgets about it until they make a show about it. Somebody makes a show about it, and then it kind of starts to come back, and people talk about it, right? So there's a show. Let me point this out real quick before we get moving on the nitty gritty of some of the doctors that came over here from Nazi Germany. But here we go. So this is reported by TheWrap.com, and this is a show that's coming out. It's actually like a Amazon exclusive show that is called Hunters. And so did the government really bring a bunch of Nazis to America in Operation Paperclip? And yeah, they did. And so there's a show about it. It's called Hunters. It's on. It just hit. This is February 26, 2020. when they reported this. So this is happening. This is happening now. It's a new Amazon Prime series, and it's talking about vigilante Nazi hunters in the 1970s and Project Paperclip, right? So pretty interesting stuff. It's obviously fictionalized history, but yeah. So it kind of hits the news again, right? Because it's based on Operation Paperclip. And there we go. Okay, have you heard of that series there, Ash?
No, that seems pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The bunch of Nazis. They had that show where what if Germany won the war? I forget what it was called.
Yeah, so that was a story by Philip K. Dick, and it was it's on Amazon, and it's called Man in the High Castle. That's what it is. Yeah, see? There's my recall coming back to me.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
Good stuff.
You're up to date a little bit.
Yeah, good stuff. So it's kind of like a alternate universe where the Nazis did win the war. The Axis won the war, and so they have the power struggle after the war is over. America's become occupied by Nazis and the Japanese, of course, because of the Pacific Theater, and so there's the power struggle in this story between the Nazis and the Japanese, and on and everybody else. So yeah, interesting. If you guys haven't seen it, pretty crazy stuff. Kelly adds that many of them went to South America, and that is correct, and specifically Argentina. And there's lots of evidence to back that up. So that's not speculation. Go ahead.
No, I heard that too. There was like some guy in Joe Rogan. He literally went there, and it was like a German town in South America. Yeah, I heard that too. That's crazy.
Yeah, so they smuggled them out. They smuggled a lot of them out, and a lot of these war criminals were able to escape and live the rest of their lives out in relative peace in Argentina. So crazy stuff there, crazy stuff. Okay, so let's so then there's how this story kind of came back into the news cycle for me, kind of popped up. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're talking about this again. So I was like, wait, we haven't really talked about this on the show. Let's talk about it a little bit. So here we go. Here's the Wikipedia. We're not going to read this. The Ministry of Truth, not worth reading, but there you go. Linking it for you guys if you guys want to check it out. It'll be in the links. But all right, so now this was actually about 9 months ago. Now this author is fantastic. Many of you've heard of her. She's been on. She does UFO stuff. Like she did a book on Area 51 and some other things. But she just recently, about 9 months ago, her name's Annie Jacobson, and she came out with a book called Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America. And so this is she's like what you would actually call an actual reporter. And so she gets family accounts of the families of these people that, and maybe like that other one, that video we watched, where there were actual like letters or evidence or photographs or family history or these sorts of things, right? And so she kind of dug into this a whole bunch and wrote this book. So if you guys are into this, do check this out. This is amazing. She's been on lots of podcasts too. She was on Joe Rogan about 9 months ago to actually promote this book. Amazing stuff. Like the amount of knowledge this lady has is incredible, because of course she's out there every day doing it. She's like, knee deep in the minutia and trying to sort out the fact from fiction, and then bring it to us on a great source like this. So do check it out. It's nutty stuff. It's a lot of it may surprise you, but let's hear some of it in her own words. So she's done plenty of talks and promoting the book in the last year or so. So let's hear some of that and let's start it, and then we'll go. So one more time, that's Annie Jacobson. She wrote a book about Operation Paperclip, and this is in her own words. Action. Oops, that was the wrong button. Let's try this, and action.
With the German scientists came a propaganda campaign to call them good scientists. That may be the case. There were 1,600 of them. That may certainly be the case with some of them. And I've actually had people at every one of my book readings so far who had a father or an uncle that was part of Paperclip. But what I will tell you is the men that I focused on had very dark pasts, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So how did I report the story? I was originally working on this book, my first book, Area 51, when I came across these two aircraft designers, and they were the Horton brothers. They designed this aircraft, the Horton All-Wing 5, and you can see it looks remarkably like the B-2 stealth bomber. And when I first saw those two images next to one another, I suddenly realized, without very much more explanation, how much technology we in fact got from the Reich, and I wanted to know more. What I learned was that while the Horton brothers were overlooked for Paperclip, their boss was not. This is their boss. This is Colonel Siegfried Kneemeyer. He was one of the Reich's top 10 pilots, and he flew on spy missions. This photograph here is Kneemeyer about to fly over Norway to choose bombing targets. And Kneemeyer, you see, that's his paperclip photo there. And when I learned Kneemeyer came to the United States, I wondered how you could go from having Hermann Göring as your boss, as he was. Now keep in mind, Göring was in charge of the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe. Kneemeyer was so important to Göring that in documents he refers to him as my boy. So the question for me in my mind was, how do you have this as your boss and then suddenly have the Pentagon as your boss?
Yeah. So you see a weird, just like Ash said, kind of a weird dynamic, right? So things change. They have like their bosses are the high-ranking Nazi bastards, let's say, and these are the people they're working for. And then suddenly, from those other letters, these are prisoners of peace now, and they're treated well, and they're working for the Pentagon. So think about that. What must have been like to be them. Not too much. Let's not give them any sympathy. But I'm just saying, right? Like the difference between one to the next would have been an enormous amount of night and day, right? That's crazy stuff. Imagine having the worst boss of all time, and then suddenly it doesn't even matter how good or bad they are after the fact, because it's not the worst boss of all time anymore. Right?
Well,
I mean, crazy. Go ahead.
I mean, if you're a scientist and you're just working on like rocket fuel, it could be kind of like when they were Germans, they could have been insulated from all the horrors and the evil, and it's just like a job. And then and then it's like, it's almost like when your starve is bought, and you have to like commute somewhere else. They have to move to a whole new country. It's really weird, and it's like and the America wants you, and so then there's good people, innocent scientists and engineers working right alongside like people who are war criminals. It's a really weird situation, and it's all classified, right? So you have to piece it together, and this woman's doing a great service trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and basically tell the story of history that hasn't been told, right? That's been covered up, and we'll get into more of that. So we got some good comments here I have to read. Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Sean says that Sean from Canada says, okay, first the rockets, yes, at first, but it didn't stop there. It also went to genetics, mass population control, mind control, and many other things. And that is true. So we're going to get to some of that. Elizabeth says, secret societies, Bob Lazar, and they worked on alien technology together. And so that's one of the whispers about the Nazis and how they came to be Operation Paperclip. And yeah, I mean, crazy stuff. This crazy stuff. And then Kelly adds the Operation Paperclip toes in with Operation High Jump, and that is correct. That is correct. And so high jumps we'll do another time, which is the Antarctica. That what's the guy's name? Admiral Byrd. That's the guy's name. So we'll do Operation High Jump another time. We did it in part before, but I think there's a ton more because there's clips actually. There's interviews with the guy. So we'll do High Jump at some point as well. So again, this is the stuff we want to know. If you guys want to know more about this, we could dig into this, right? Nazis are kind of like old hat, right? Like it's like people forget what Nazis are. And so I think it's important to really talk about this today, especially today when Nazis have become a meme, right? That's like a stupid meme that you call each other when you don't agree with their politics. That's what Nazis have turned into today. Like, right. It's like we forget, like literally we're, 2 generations away from the greatest war on earth. And suddenly Nazis are a joke, they're literally like a cartoon meme. It's stupid. This is the stupidity. This drives me insane. And so here we are.
It's like,
go ahead.
If you wear blackface, that's like equivalent of being a Nazi. There's no kind of scale to these things. There's no logic or reason. It's just kind of extreme. Whereas like Nazis were like literally picking you based on your race and removing you from existence. They were trying to wipe you away. And you have to understand, like, they were normal people. This was normal people. This was just like you and I. So when, people get heated up and they're like, there's like this attack on like, well, it used to be worse than it is now, but it used to be like, white privilege and a lot of these things. That's kind of like how the Nazi stuff starts, right? Once you kind of use race as an excuse to implement power, it's and people just, history repeats itself. It's just it's weird. It's weird to think that all this happened just like
it's weird,
a
yeah.
person and a half ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we got some good comments here, and we're not going to get into this. We know there's other conspiracy theories, right? So, and I know this is like a thought experiment, so everybody relax. But little city living on YouTube says, "He who wins the war writes the history." And so even now, again, thought experiment. Everybody relax. He says, even if the Germans were the good guys, you'll never know. And so, right, so this is kind of the point of people investigating history and actually going into like the families and talking to them and finding out what they knew in these letters, like letters and boxes types of things, stories that were passed on. Like these are the situations that this dies to history if somebody doesn't go out and get it and find it and try and bring it out, And so it does add some truth to that, where you're not getting just the history book version of the person who won the war. Like he who again, what is that? He who wins the war writes the history, which you should have been there our last show. We were talking about that exactly. But yeah, so you get the point, right? So, okay, so she said, here's what, and notice she said that they had this plane that looks strikingly similar to a B-2 stealth bomber. I think it's a B-2, right? I think that's what she said. So she's basically saying the Nazis, the technology we're using today, the Nazis brought over and built us basically the frame of the stealth bomber. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like that's modern times. We're not talking 70 years ago. This is insane. So anyway, yeah. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's keep on trucking. Annie Jacobson, like I said, she wrote this fantastic book. Do check it out if you guys are into this, because you may be surprised at some of the things that kind of got shaken out of history. Let's say out of the history book. So let's hear it in her own words. Here's part 2. Action.
I learned that when Kneemeyer retired from the U.S. Air Force in the mid-'70s, he was given the Department of Defense Distinguished Civilian Service Award. And that is the highest award that a scientist can get from the Defense Department. And I wanted to know how this could be. I tracked down one of Kneemeyer's grandchildren who courageously agreed to share the story of his grandfather with me, including a box of papers that he had in the attic. And one of the most interesting things that Dirk Kneemeyer said to me and made me know that I wanted to write this story, to research and report it, was he said, "Annie, many of my family members say, do not speak about Siegfried's past." But he, being my age, said, a Google search very quickly reveals that Kneemeyer was Göring's right-hand man. And he said he would rather know the truth about his grandfather than not know it. And so that was one example of a seed planted that I knew there is more to be learned about Operation Paperclip. I'm going to take you back briefly to the fall of 1944. This is Germany there in dark blue, and of course the Allies have landed at Normandy. They're going at Germany this way, the Soviets are coming this way, and immersed inside the army soldiers are a group of scientists led by a particle physicist named Samuel Goudsmit. And that operation was sort of the precursor to Paperclip. It was called Operation Alsace. Samuel Goudsmit and his team have one mission. That is to find out about what was known as ABC weapons: atomic, biological, and chemical. They find out very quickly that Hitler's atomic program is not what that we had feared. That was lucky for us, but as Hitler told his war and weapons minister, Albert Speer, nuclear science is Jewish science. This is what Hitler said, and therefore that atomic program had not progressed the same way that the biological and chemical weapons had.
Okay, so again, kind of creeping us through the story here about some specific people, about the weapons programs of Nazi Germany and World War II, and how maybe their actual atomic weapon system or program wasn't up to snuff. It was behind the times, where many of the other things they were doing were ahead. So there you go. Because again, back to the quote from Hitler, from a third party there, that it was Jew science or whatever he wanted to call it, right? So I mean, there we go.
What the hell? That's so weird. It's
weird, right? It's weird. Like it's odd the way. Again, right? So history is its own thing, and this is important to me because you go through some of this, and like I said, she's digging out this stuff that never hit the history books because it's like family information. You know what I mean? Like I said, this stuff is private information. This stuff has been highly classified. This stuff has been covered up, and she's kind of like knee deep in it, trying to pull it out. So we got some more clips on this. Anything about that before I play the next one there, Ash?
No, just I think there's a miscalculation to say it's just Jew science.
Yeah, it seems like
miscalculation.
it seems like, right? Yeah, I mean, there you go. Yeah. All right, action part 3.
Very quickly, Samuel Goudsmit in a small apartment in Strasbourg, France, learns about this man, Dr. Kurt Blum, the Deputy Surgeon General of the Reich. And he also learns about this man, Dr. Walter Schreiber, the Surgeon General of the Third Reich. What Goudsmit's finds and these papers that I looked at were remarkable because they're just a sort of seemingly benign correspondence between scientists. The apartment belonged to a doctor named Dr. Eugen Hagen, once a temperate man, worked in the United States on a Rockefeller Foundation scholarship. And Hagen was writing to Himmler and saying, of the 100 prisoners you sent me, a group of them died in transport. Please send more. And this is a terrifying moment for Operation Alsace because they realize that the Reich is experimenting on humans from the concentration camps to push medical science in a manner that cannot be pushed if you're experimenting on rabbits and guinea pigs. So Dr. Blum and Dr. Schreiber are now on the top of the target list for Operation Alsace and ultimately Paperclip.
Okay.
There you have Hitler and Goering, and of course the third horrible triad of this group of folks who are in the target eye of the Allies is.
Okay, so it's a little bit out of context there because she's showing photographs, and there is a YouTube video that's I'll link, and you guys can check it out, and actually see the photographs. She's pointing to these individuals as she's talking about them. She's got photographs. In some cases, she was not allowed to publish them in the books. But she brought them to the talks as she was doing the promotion, so she could point in like kind of fill in the blanks here. But I also did link. Here's another one if you guys want a little bit of a reading to kind of add to this story here. But it's by listverse.com, and it's 10 Nazi scientists who just survived the war and some descriptions about who they are. And there's Walter Schreiber, who actually she's talking about in this little bit here. So I did link it if you guys want to check it out. And again, we're talking about Project Paperclip tonight. We're talking about some of the interesting things that kind of came out from an investigation and a book written by. What was her name? I lost it. I'm usually on the game here. What's her name? What's her name here? Her name is Annie Jacobson. And so her book was Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America. So there we go. So the clips we're playing are her in her own words promoting the book and kind of telling stories, some of the things that shocked her about the book in her research and what she found out from, again, not historical sources. She found these from kind of, like I said, boots on the ground and talking to their families, reading old letters, pictures, these sorts of things, right? So actual information that can be corroborated, and she does in many cases here. So anything there? Did you notice what she said about that, Ash? About they needed a new shipment of. Did you catch that?
Of new, subjects, basically, right?
Prisoners, yeah. So you didn't. It's like in a lab. You order. I need 100 more rats, right? No,
right.
they're sending another train full of prisoners because they're running out, and so like this is the sick type of stuff. Yeah. So
they're running out.
Well, yeah, they need more. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, there's a limitation. Like, I imagine if you throw morality out the window, you can progress much faster in science. I imagine with cloning, experimenting on humans, because normally they have to kind of experiment on chimps or rodents, and then extrapolate that and then kind of apply it to humans. There's trials. You don't give a shit. You can make progress really fast. And it's sad. I don't know. And I kind of almost hope that if there's like positive things that came from this, America was able to absorb that, right? To make it because let's say they do these experiments and then we won the war and then all that research is trashed. It's like, wow, those people suffered for no reason on top of the evil that happened. So, I mean, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously doing stuff at the expense of people is terrible, but
Horrific.
not even like having anything to like show for it.
Yeah, we talked about in the past kind of. So this is a discussion on the ethics of this, and again, just like Ash said, right? So if you throw out the individual sovereignty of people out the window, and you just shrug your shoulders and go, all right, well, we need a train full more of test subjects, right? Like this is what happens. Like you're able to advance, but then guess what? Like who's around to enjoy the advancements? Right, it's only the people loyal to the party, right? It's only the people willing to do the worst things on behalf of the party. It's the same thing. This is George Orwell. This is the same stuff. This is why he wrote that book, 1984, and this is why I think that the conversation is relevant today because do you believe in the sovereignty of the individual person? I think that's the question, right? And
well, it's kind of like in high school when the cool kids all collect and then they pick on like the stragglers. It's kind of like that to the ultimate level, right? It's like when we watch superhero movies, we empathize with the person who's getting bullied, and we don't look at that as like a positive trait that these people are being mean. And it's just like using your power to like bully other people, and this concept is kind of like that to the extreme. It's like one group benefiting at the expense of everyone else. I think that in today's society, our virtues and values, we view that as evil. It's not cool.
Yeah,
and
less than not cool. Less than not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever you did for me, your audio is great, Ash. Whatever you did works. So don't touch anything. Like don't breathe. Don't touch anything.
Recently?
Yeah, just in the last since we've been last 30 minutes or so. So yeah, don't touch anything.
Okay.
Don't touch anything. Don't breathe, buddy, unless you have to.
I'm touching it.
Don't do it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Put your pants back on. Put your pants back on. All right, here we go. So, all right. So here's again, Annie Jacobson. Here's part 4. We got a few clips here. Again, if you guys want to chime in on this, if you want to talk about this, this is Operation Paperclip. This is we're bringing the Nazis over, the scientists to help with the let's say the new. I hate to make the comparison. It's tough to compare anything to Nazi Germany, but let's say to the new whatever. The new sovereign nation. I don't know. There's no words. There's no way to say this right because you get a critic no matter what you say. So the Nazis came over to help the American war program. Let's say. Okay, there we go. I think that's probably good enough. All right, so here we go. Clip 4. Annie Jacobson from her promoting her book about Operation Paperclip. Action.
As we're moving across Germany, all across the Reich, the Allies are coming across hidden troves of treasure like this. This is a famous photograph of gold, but also in these caves, Allies are finding documents and they're finding weapons. And this is one example. This little innocuous-looking entrance is actually the entrance to Nordhausen, which was the underground tunnel facility where Wernher von Braun, General Dornberger, and many other scientists who would later come to America are working to build the rockets for the Reich. So you see down on the bottom photograph, those are train tracks. The rocket parts would go in, the slave laborers would build them, and out of the tunnels on those trains would come V-2 rockets and body parts. This is the V-2 rocket. So one of our teams was sent in. These men were sent to capture 100 rockets and to ship them back to the United States so that we could fly them here at the White Sands missile range. But this is where you really see Operation Paperclip begin, because also at the same time, you have the scientists. And you see that an intelligence officer, the program sort of begins in bits and pieces, and one intelligence officer says, we have the rockets, but how about the scientists? This is von Braun, this is Dornberger, and 2 others who I write about in Paperclip. What's left out of the issue is that Dornberger, you can see here, he's with Himmler. They're both wearing leather coats. I find this photograph remarkable. I was not able to get permission to publish it in my book. I'm happy to show it to you here. General Dornberger went on and became a very important part of the Paperclip program. He worked for Bell Aircraft for years. He had one of the highest clearances at the Pentagon. He was a recruiting officer for Paperclip, and nothing was ever mentioned of his past. And this photograph was certainly kept hidden for a rather long time.
Okay, so there you go. And I did link the video this came from, these audio clips came from. There's the link if you want to check out some of the photographs she's talking about. So there it is. And okay, so anything there?
Hold the phone. Did she say that rocket parts went in and body parts came out? Is that what she said?
That's what she said.
Holy
So they were
shit.
that was the point, right? So they were ordering we need more test subjects. So whatever was going on, so they not only were they like slave labor type stuff, it was like, whatever the hell they were doing for chemical weapons tests or what have you, right? So whatever was actually going on, there's a ton of just nefarious, nasty shit happening. So again, according to, now these are non-historical sources, guys. So if you want to be the person who hates history and says that the history is written by the victor and all this other stuff, yes, right? Okay, to a degree we can agree there. However, these sources are not from history books or from actual ranking officials that are behind the sources and methods of the shroud of secrecy from the governments. Like, these are actual non-historical sources, right? Like, which actually become more historical, in my opinion. So anyway, there we go. So like I said, do check it out if you guys are interested in this stuff. Annie Jacobson, she wrote a book about it, and it's fantastic. And so we got more clips here. So anything else on that? Yeah, rocket parts came in, body parts went out. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's a good point. It's like, we learned, and I'm always skeptical too, like, because the whoever wins the war is the good guys, whoever loses the bad guys. But I mean, fuck, that's that's some pretty evil stuff, and I think that our generation is very spoiled from the potential evils of the world, And if you look at human history, some dark stuff in the past.
100 years.
But yeah.
Just
that's
100.
Nuts.
You only have to go back 100 years to see some really heinous shit. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty nuts. Okay, so let's keep on rolling with this, and yeah, that's crazy stuff. Again, Operation Paperclip we're talking about. Annie Jacobson's the author, and here's another clip from her, and action.
The scientists were taken to this castle. Ironically, this had been one of Göring's Luftwaffe headquarters. It's outside Frankfurt, and when I went there also to speak to the old-time caretaker, he had lots of stories, which I write in the book, about what it was like when the U.S. military took over and set up all the scientists that we were collecting throughout the ruins of the Reich. We set them up in this facility, and we began to interview them. These are a number of the scientists who were in, it was called Dustbin, a little humor by the Allies there. But these are some of the scientists who were kept there. One of the scientists we couldn't find at first was Dr. Ambrose. Ambrose, I think, is probably the most nefarious character that I write about in the book, and I'm going to tell you briefly why. Ambrose was Hitler's favorite chemist, and I don't say that lightly. I found a document in the National Archives that I don't believe had ever been reported before. It shows an award that Ambrose was given by Hitler of 1 million Reichsmarks. And the reason that Ambrose was given that was because he co-invented sarin gas. The A in sarin stands for Ambrose. But he also invented synthetic rubber for the Reich. And this was a very big deal to Hitler. Tanks need treads, aircraft need tires. Hitler knew the Reich was running out of rubber. And so when Ambrose invented rubber, the Fuhrer bestowed him with favor in the form of this giant financial reward. Ambrose was also put in charge of a slave labor factory, none other than at Auschwitz.
So we see some of the actual specific names that most everybody knows. Auschwitz, right? One of the most heinous camps there. He was put in charge of this, she says. So, yeah, what the hell, right? And so these are the types of, she's got more stories. There's more and more and more. Again, this is just cursory type stuff. This is kind of top of her head and kind of telling the story after the fact, after she spent all the time writing it and kind of promoting the book here. But There's tons and tons of stuff, specifics in there about things they've done. Like she said, there's some stories she won't tell because it's just too graphic, yeah. Anyway, you get the point there. Anything on that, Ash? We got few more clips to play here. But yeah,
no, let's keep trucking, man.
Keep on trucking. All right, there we go. So again, if you guys have comments on this, again, so we do have this. This does touch on the periphery of Admiral Byrd and the Antarctica thing and the Nazis down there and this whole bit, right? So this is all part of history and that as well, and the secret space program. So it all kind of on the periphery works together. So if you guys have comments on any of that, just give us a call, 702-957-1037. There's the phone number. It's on the stream right now. We're going to play a few more of these clips, but we're talking about Operation Paperclip. We're talking about the Nazis who came over to help with science, let's say. So there we go, after World War II. So Chad What's Up says he also put military on Antarctica to prove the hollow earth theory. There we are. So Operation High Jump is what that is. So okay, so we're going to continue moving here, and let's play some more clips from Annie Jacobson. But we're waiting for you guys. So if you guys have information you wanna let everybody else hear to add to this conversation, that's perfect. That's why we do it live. That's why we stutter and stammer and don't say the right things, because we want to include you. So please call 702-957-1037. Here's another clip by Annie Jacobson. Go to troubleminds.org. That's the official website if you want the phone number or the Discord link. So here we go. And action.
And this is an Allied intelligence photo of the Auschwitz-Birkenau complex in June of 1944. It's a little hard to interpret to the naked eye, but because it's from so high up, but you see there's Auschwitz up there, it's labeled, there's Birkenau, and down on the bottom you can just barely see, it says Auschwitz 3 Buna. Buna is the name for synthetic rubber, and this was where Ambrose was manager. And slaves who were spared the gas chamber, some of whom I interview for the book, were sent to Buna to work. Most of them were worked to death. Of all the photographs that I found on my research and reporting, none bothered me to the degree that this one did. It was not the bodies stacked like cordwood that we all have seen and have horrified us, but rather it was this, and it's because of what that sign says. It says Company Sporting Club IG Auschwitz. And those are two of Otto Ambrose's colleagues fencing. So after a day in the laboratory, they would go for sport and fence. And as it was explained to me by the academics at the Fritz Bauer Institute who allowed me to publish this photograph, they told me that this sporting event would take place in the afternoons well within the sight of the 3 large chimneys of the death camp's crematoria. That Otto Ambrose became part of Paperclip is horrifying.
There you go. So check that out. So the level of business as usual in the apocalypse, as Clyde Lewis always says, of Ground Zero fame. Like that's just a little bit grotesque, yeah. So they spend their work day out in the laboratory testing maybe MK Ultra type stuff, or maybe sarin gas, or whatever things they're cooking up, nasty chemical weapons or whatever's going on, right? They're literally spend their day murdering people, like finding new ways to murder people, and then at the end of the day, they have a little like physical education time, little stretch the leg time. Good night, Sherry. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it, man. Ma'am, not man. Let's see what I do. Too many misspeaking. Thanks for showing up. Have a good night. Okay, so it's right. I mean, this is the type of thing that's just a little bit terrifying. So again, like she this is eyewitness accounts. She's got photographs. She's talked to survivors from these areas and regarding Operation Paperclip. So okay. Anyway, anything on that there, Ash? I've got a few more to play here, but yeah, little leisure activity. Go ahead, sorry.
She sounds like she's done her research. Cool.
Yeah, damn right. Damn right.
Casual stuff.
So people often ask, how could this have...
Sorry, I misclicked that. That was my bad.
It's a bit jumping the gun. Yeah, and finding evidence, corroborating it with photos, and it's really cool. So let's hear more.
Eyewitness accounts, yeah, all that stuff. Okay, here we go. Let's go a few more clips and then we're done. But again, if you guys want to be part of this, if you have information, you can chip in. If you think that this is a biased telling of the story, fine. Well, I mean, she wrote a book on it, so we're going with the source here. But if you guys have if you want to related to Operation High Jump or anything else. This is Nazis, right? This is Nazi Germany. Again, there's been whispers of them teaming with extraterrestrials or making the first flying saucers or these other things, right? So all that's kind of related. We're not really talking about that tonight, but if you guys want to chip in and talk about that, no problem. Do call 702-957-1037. Go to troubleminds.org. That's the official website. You'll find the phone number and the Discord link there. And here's another clip. Action.
When I was doing an interview recently, someone said, well, could people that were this high up not have known? And the best analogy I can give you is imagine being a hedge fund manager today and trying to say that you're not interested in capitalism. If you were to rise to the top of your field in the Third Reich, you had knowledge of things and you had a commitment to an ideology that is almost impossible, in my estimation, to say that you didn't know. Nevertheless, Harry Armstrong and Hubertus Strughold create a partnership in Germany, and they hire these men. This photograph never published before. Richard Kuhn is in the center, a very famous Nobel Prize-winning chemist, and many other scientists who would come to the United States as part of Operation Paperclip to work in Texas. But before that happened, there was a knock on the door in the institute where they were all set up to work in Germany before their passage to the United States could be arranged. And that was from, as I told you, Dr. Leopold Alexander. He wanted these three for war crimes, as he wanted Dr. Theodore Benziger. Dr. Theodore Benziger, when I read about his obituary in the New York Times, published in 1999, when Benziger was 94, the New York Times lauded his long career for the U.S. Navy as a doctor. It talked about how he invented the ear thermometer, but it left out entirely that Dr. Theodore Benziger was part of a small group of doctors that worked with Himmler. And when Himmler would show films of medical murder experiments at the Reich Air Ministry, he had Dr. Theodore Benziger do the introductions. So this is this kind of whitewashing I found astonishing. And even more troubling, when I looked deep into the Nuremberg files, I found out that Dr. Theodore Benziger was on the initial list to be tried at the doctor's trial. And yet, mysteriously, just 3 weeks before trial, he was released into custody of Harry Armstrong of the U.S. Army Air Forces, and he was on his way to the United States.
There you go. So they had these guys lined up, ready to go, ready to be on trial for war crimes. As Elizabeth says there in chat, what's up? Thanks for the great comment. Crimes against humanity, and they were ready to try these guys. In many cases, their names were on the list, and so they just they plucked them out, right? Like again, right? We talk about the justice system and how they say that justice in the end should be blind, right? Like if you see that Lady Justice, she's got the scales and she's got her eyes covered because justice should be a blind thing. It should be equal to all. Except, we talk about it a lot on this show, and we talk about that how it's not even close to that. It's political. It's based on your value to the state. How much information you have, dirt to spill, who you know what about, or what you know who about. Like these sorts of things. Like it's just this is awful. This is awful. Like this is here we go, right? Like we're just letting mass murderers off the hook because we might be able to get something out of them, Pretty terrifying. Pretty terrifying.
I mean, how long did it take before we nailed Epstein? Right.
Yeah.
He was on probationary periods. They just let him go like 3 times like that. Yeah, it's tough. These people have committed atrocities. But it kind of goes back to, are you going to let all their knowledge go to waste? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to let that go to waste? It's a tough thing, man. Governments have to make choices that benefit the most people. Like, what's the saying? It's like the expense of a few for the benefit of the many. And so I think the moral lines start to blur when you make the choices. And so you can let these people off the hook and then upgrade your rocket program and have rocket superiority over all the other countries, or you can let these people go to trial like they should. So again, governments kind of like make these moral evil decisions, and it's another reason why, I believe personally, government should only be so powerful, because then, you're just a chess piece to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's again, right? Like weird how you have some sympathy for the government, right? Like at some point, there are tough decisions to make, but it's still like it leaves a really, really awful taste in your mouth, like kind of letting people who commit war crimes, literally crimes against humanity, just butchering people like they're animals, and it'll kind of let them off the hook. Chad says that we took scientists, not people who hit the start button on the stoves. Well, I mean, but some of these scientists you'll see in a sec. I got a few more clips here, just like 2-3 more clips, and she talks about some of them, like previously actually in one of the other clips, she said it was one of these folks was Hitler's favorite chemist, right? It helped invent sarin gas. So how do you expect that he did that? Like, how do they know it kills people so well, right? Because they spent time killing people with it as they developed it. So I mean, it's not. It's not. I don't think it's as easy as that. Like morally, it's again leaves a kind of crappy taste in your mouth. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you have any sympathy for the governments making these decisions? Do you think these Nazis should have just been put on a tribunal and then like burned at the stake? What do you think should have happened to them? Do you think that Operation Paperclip was a proper thing that is just in the end? How do you feel about it morally? And everything else about the conversation, how do you feel? Just give us a call, 702-957-1037. We got a few minutes left for you. A couple more clips to play here. And sometimes it's not so easy to make these decisions that seem like they might be easy decisions to make, right? So I think that's kind of the point here. Point of the conversation. Go ahead.
Decisions, like who's maintaining them, right? So, and actually, let's play the Captain America scene, right? Like, if you want to just a quick tangent. It's like you could bring these people in and you could think that, your short-term benefit is to upgrade your technology and your program. But what happens when these people run free in your government and they fester like a wound? Do they become maybe a parasite? And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Captain America Winter Soldier, but there's a lot of disclosure in that movie, and they even have like their own Nazi organization that's penetrated the American government and all this stuff. So let's pull up that clip and watch it real quick, and then we'll take a quick conspiracy theory tangent, and then we'll come back to this.
Okay, got it. Got a few more clips here. We're talking about Operation Paperclip. We're talking about the Nazis coming over and the moral discussion. And do you think it was the right thing to do, or do you even believe it? Do you believe the story? Like there's all that. Like we're open to all that. Let's not get anyway. Here we go. Let's just play this clip. This is from Captain America. What's this? Winter Soldier, I guess this is.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Great movie.
All right, and action.
Operation Paperclip. After World War II, SHIELD recruited German scientists with strategic value.
They thought I could help their cause. I also helped my own.
Hydra died with the Red Skull.
Cut off one head, 2 more shall take its place.
Prove it.
Accessing archive. Hydra was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. What we did not realize was that if you try to take that freedom, they resist. The war taught us much. Humanity needed to surrender its freedom willingly. After the war, SHIELD was founded, and I was recruited. The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite inside SHIELD. For 70 years, Hydra has been secretly feeding crisis, reaping war. And when history did not cooperate, history was changed.
That's impossible. SHIELD would have stopped you.
Accidents will happen. Hydra created a world so chaotic that humanity is finally ready to sacrifice its freedom to gain its security. Once the purification process is complete, Hydra's new world order will arise. We won, Captain. Your death amounts to the same as your life, a zero sum.
Oh, dirty. I've never actually seen that movie, but seen some good clips from it. So there you go. I did link the clip if you guys want to check it out. The audio was a little bit shit, so I like to do the actual audio clips so you can pull them out and you can normalize it so you can hear what's going on. That was a little bit quiet, but yeah. So what do you think with that? Any comments on that? Go ahead there. Conspiracy theory tangent, Ash. Hit it, bud.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of blends a lot of conspiracy theories together, right? New World Order, that our government, during the paperclip, we learned a bunch of stuff from the Nazis, propaganda, whatever. It's almost like their higher ranked people were absorbed into positions, and a lot of their ideology and tactics and stuff were absorbed into our government after war, and maybe manifested in our intelligence agencies. But yeah, it's an awesome movie. It's got a lot of disclosure. They even target people based on like their genetics and in whether or not they're like going to be problems, right, for the New World Order. New World Order. It's got everything. It's a great movie. Great action sequences. Captain America.
And all right.
It's a great
So
movie.
yeah, apparently I'll have to go back and watch it. I haven't seen all the Marvel stuff, but I will at some point. Okay, so if there we go. If you guys have comments, we got a few minutes left for you. 702-957-1037. Go to troubleminds.org, the official website. You'll find the phone number there and the Discord link. You can click that, do all the things, get on the show, etc. So on. We've got a couple more clips to play. We're going to do it. Talking about Operation Paperclip tonight and Nazis, how they came over here as scientists to help us do what? To what end? Is it morally okay? Do you think that, like Ash said, maybe it's kind of a tough call to make because then we lose their knowledge, even though the knowledge was gained with really shitty tactics and murdering people and just horrific things. So a conversation to be had here, and so not just a historical conversation. Is it? Do you think it's still relevant today in places like China, where they're just butchering people with the coronavirus because they don't want it to spread, right? So they weld them in, let them die. Like don't give them any sort of help, because if they do, they're for fear that they're going to spread it, right? So they'd rather just let them die, come and collect the ashes afterwards. So yeah, crazy stuff. All right, so a few more clips here and we're done. But again, we got time for you guys. 702-957-1037, and here we go with the last couple clips here. Action.
Part of Dr. Alexander's role was to find witnesses, to find the few survivors of those horrific concentration camp medical experiments and put them on trial. So we had the doctor's trial. There you see Dr. Bloma in the center. He would be acquitted and he would later become part of Paperclip. And there you see Dr. Alexander with a witness who comes into the story later at the Nuremberg doctor's trial. This is one of the doctors. Someone once asked me, did any of the doctors know each other? And they absolutely did. Dr. Alexander, part of the reason why he was chosen to be the chief medical expert for the Nuremberg trials was that he had grown up in Vienna and he left when the Nazis took power. So he was a fluent German speaker, and he was astonished to figure out at the doctor's trial that he was in the same medical class with Dr. Biegelbach. Karl Hollenreiner, one of the few survivors of those experiments. I tell this story in the book, but there's so many moments that I came across that are just lost to history. I couldn't believe that I had never heard of them, and they seemed to not have been written about anywhere. Karl Hollenreiner was the subject of the saltwater experiments, and I won't give you the details because they're gruesome. You can read some of them in the book. But Hollenreiner was so outraged at Biegelbach, who had performed those experiments on him. He came into the Nuremberg trials with a dagger hidden in his pocket. And while he was on the witness stand, he leapt off the stand and he tried to stab Biegelbach. And one of the Nuremberg judges was so upset with him because he said, "We are here to show what democracy is all about," that he sent poor Karl Hollenreiner back into the prison with the Nazi doctors.
So you see it dies hard, right? So you have to make nice with people who spent a good amount of time trying to kill you on the other side of the war, and kill you and the people you love, and the people you served with. And yeah, I mean, that's tough. It's tough. I imagine. So not just being the people that had to make those decisions. Imagine being the folks that took orders and had to work with them, like in the beginning of the story here when we had that one clip where. She had letters from her grandfather talking about how all of his colleagues were Nazis. They all came from Paperclip, and he was just kind of there taking notes. I mean, Yeah, like right, like talk about he's Jewish. Talk about leaving a bad taste in your mouth, and just yeah, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, it's you know, people complain about their jobs, but at least not all your coworkers want you terminated from the earth.
yeah,
Not literally.
exactly, and yeah, and more than that, like it's just deeper than that, you know. Like I don't know how. Like I've been pretty petty in the past about some things, you know, but like I think when you take it to the level of killing me, you know, where you're like you worked really hard to kill me for a long time, I just don't think I can let that go. I'm sorry, I just don't think I can. You know what I mean? Like, and I say petty. I've been petty because I'm human, you know, not because you know what I mean, not because it's like a terrible a fault of mine. It's just humanity. It happens, right? Over dumb things sometimes. But I mean, like I draw the line at calling it petty when they've tried to kill you for quite some time. Then no,
Oh yeah,
that's not
especially
petty
for your
anymore.
race.
Yeah, it just gets worse. Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Okay, a couple more clips. We're almost done. So if you guys have comments, one more time, we'll do this live for you. 702-957-1037, troubleminds.org. Here we go. 2 more clips and we are done. Action.
So people often ask, how could this have happened? And this is why. You know, there was a very real threat, and that was the Soviet Union. And the threat was thermonuclear war. Very quickly, the Cold War heated up. And all of those criminals that we had sent to prison, well, we needed Germany as an ally. And so John McCloy, U.S. High Commissioner, he left his position as president of the World Bank and agreed to go to Germany to serve as High Commissioner. And he released the majority of those convicted Nazi war criminals. They had been in Landsberg prison. Those are the unmarked graves of the 486 who had been hung. But he released a lot of them, including Ambrose. I found this picture to be incredibly disturbing. That's Ambrose. I told you the A for Ambrose in sarin gas, Hitler's favorite chemist. He was managing the Auschwitz III Buna factory. He was actually tried at Nuremberg. He was convicted of mass murder and slavery. There he is in a Nuremberg photograph, laughing with his lawyers. Perhaps he had foresight and knew that he would be given clemency by U.S. High Commissioner John McCloy, released, and he would become later on contract with the U.S. Department of Energy. Some of the doctors were such hot potatoes, that was the actual term that they used, if someone couldn't come to the United States. And so they were sent to this facility outside Frankfurt. It was a black site. I sort of think of it as the original post-war black site. And that is where we worked on enhanced interrogation techniques with Soviet bloc prisoners. Ultimately, this program would become known as the infamous MK Ultra program, but it began here much earlier than thought. And lo and behold, who were the 2 physicians at Camp King? Dr. Schreiber, released from the Russians. Many thought he was a Soviet mole. And Dr. Kurt Blome.
And so there you go. I know this is real dense, guys, with the names and stuff, because many of us are not as well versed in history to know like exactly who she's talking about. But again, if you're interested in more of this, again, buy her book, right? We are not affiliated. She doesn't know us. We don't know her. She just wrote this, and this is a great resource. And she did a lot of great talks. Like I said, she was on Joe Rogan. She was on. She was also on. I heard her talking about Area 51, MK Ultra, and what else on what's that guy? The Black Vault, John Greenwald Jr. So she's been on a lot of podcasts talking about a lot of different things, and specifically this and some other stuff with Area 51 and UFOs and whatever. So it's kind of in her wheelhouse to really be talking about how these links happen. So hopefully in the future we'll see her link this with maybe High Jump or maybe some of the UFOs in Nazi Germany or any of that stuff, Werner von Braun and all the rest. So who knows, right? She's kind of got her, like I said, knee deep in it already. So hopefully she comes out with a companion piece to maybe link the ufology here. So okay, anything else there? So notice she said MK Ultra. Did you catch that, Ash? She said this is where MK Ultra came from these scientists from Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, at what point did our government sign off on this shit and then start absorbing it in? And you hear about MK Ultra in Hollywood. It's like, was it like Hydra? Did this like poison fester within our own government? And It's disturbing, and it's kind of yeah. Where did the lines blur? Like, did they have free reign to just kind of do whatever they wanted? Like, what the hell was going on?
I don't. I think that's the question, right? I think that's why it's worth talking about. Like I said, this is not the type of stuff you're going to learn in school, and yeah, it's just right. It seems to be the history we get is a little bit whitewashed. It's just you're all the nitty gritty details are left by the wayside because well, I mean, we don't want to turn our kids into psychopaths, so we don't tell them the nitty gritty details about sarin gas. And I'm sure you could write an entire book about how it was developed, and how many people you assumed were probably like burned to death with this or whatever it was. I mean, on and on, right? It's just disgusting. So anyway, here we go. One more clip, and then we're done. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. If you like this type of discussion, a little bit more historical, a little bit more dense with some names and some dates. If you like that stuff, let us know. If it's not your shtick and you want the UFOs, let us know. The beautiful thing about the show is we kind of say what we want. We talk about what we want, and that means that nobody tells us what to do. So except for you. And except for us. And so we join together and we talk about what we want to talk about. And if you have some show suggestions, you're always welcome. And if you want to be on the show, you're always welcome. That's an open invite to everybody out there. So we've had some people that have taken us up on that. So if you have some particular knowledge, or you want to maybe join a conversation that you have some knowledge about, whatever, you got us to kind of lean on, so you don't have to have your own show, but this is your own show. This is yours. If you're listening, I consider it your show. You can be on the show anytime you want. Just let us know. We'll do a little bit of pre-prep and have some stuff set up so that when you talk about it with us, we'll have some links to talk about and some sources and some other things. So anyway, there we go. Invites out there. You guys know what's up. If this is not your thing, cool. We appreciate you sticking through it, and we'll get to something else next time that might be. So do check the back catalog. We had tons of stuff. We got Bigfoot. We got aliens. We got you name it. We got all of it. We do have Operation High Jump in Antarctica and pyramids there and all kinds of stuff, right? We've talked about all kinds of stuff. So anyway, blah, blah, so on and so forth. I'm verbose as hell. Let's play this last clip and finish this sucker up. Action.
So I leave you with the last thought, which is Yadem das Seine, that sign over the Buchenwald Gate. We know from a document that Werner von Braun himself would go to the Buchenwald camp and handpick slave laborers to work on the rockets. So is that really true? Does everyone get what he deserves? I sought out that question. I sought out that answer from all the different individuals that I interviewed. But the best answer that I got came from now 91-year-old Gerhard Maschowski. And as a teenager, he was spared the gas chamber at Auschwitz because he could work. He became a slave laborer at Buna, at that factory that Otto Ambros ran. And I said, Gerhard, is it true, and what lasts? And he smiled, and he pulled back the sleeve of his arm, and he showed me that blue ink Auschwitz tattoo. And he said, this is what matters. This lasts, and it's a record of the truth.
There you go. There's winding it down better than I could ever say. There's some atrocities, right, that you don't forget. And you see, she's talking to people, interviews. 91 years old, this guy lived through this, and he's got the proof. So it's not. Again, right? So, like you can complain about history books being incorrect. Remember, we talked about France and having the history book about 9/11 being a CIA operation. Remember that in the French history book. So I mean, history books are wrong, right? They're going to be wrong. How wrong is the question, right? And this is an eyewitness survivor, 91 years old, that she interviewed, and that's information that got put in her book. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think at the end of this? What do you think at the end of this? A lot of dirty stuff here. Sarin gas, MK Ultra, trains of people dying for scientific research purposes. Just all kinds of nasty stuff. But and then again, we got some actual periphery. What would you call it? Fringe analysis of the UFO connection to the Nazis. Maybe we could add to this, or Operation High Jump and the Inner Earth. Like there's tons of tangents here that we just didn't have time for tonight, but we'll get to those another point. Again, if you guys like this, let us know. But what did you think about it, Ash, at the end here? How do you feel, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to go for the. You mentioned the fringe stuff, secret UFO program, Antarctica bases, all that kind of stuff. But at its core, the Germans didn't value human life, right? And so that allowed them to commit some horrible atrocities. And I thought I always suspected that some scientists came over, and that's kind of it. But I mean, if we had high level people who were in charge of some of these horrible things that happened, just kind of seemingly dissolving into our government, our military, it's terrifying. And yeah, I kind of learned a lot from this, and hat off to her and for doing all the research, and good job, Mike, for kind of like putting it together, and Paperclip. I think we hear about these things, and a lot of us know the gist of it, but it's tough to kind of know more about it, right?
Yeah,
Kinda take
and
the
again,
time
I
to
think
dig in.
yeah, and I think we should just keep learning. Like if the names and the dates are a little dense and you didn't know about some of this, that's good. That's a good thing, right? It may not be your primary interest, but let's continue to push the envelope a little bit of what these shows can be and what the types of things we can talk about. And our commitment to you is we're not going to go too political, and what we want to do is we want to talk about as many things as possible. That's it, right? Like conspiracy, aliens, history, like you name it, fringe analysis, whatever you want to call it. We're all over the place, and I think it's healthy because you can't just do politics all day every day, or you just can't do Bigfoot all day every day. You just can't do that stuff. So there we go. That's what you got from us. Again, we have a few more minutes if you guys want to call 702-957-1037. Oops, 37. I clicked the wrong thing there. Said the wrong thing. But yeah. So I mean, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do? How are we gonna do the end of this? Do call us. Be part of the show. We'll yeah. Otherwise, we're gonna finish this up and then we'll be done, and we'll be back on Tuesday for another show, another good stuff. Hopefully, it's not so dry and dense and history specific, but whatever. What are you gonna do? What can you do?
Let's do aliens, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Let's do it.
I have
Let's
an
do
idea.
aliens. What do you want to do? What do you want to do, Ash?
Let's do aliens.
What do you want to do for Tuesday?
You know
aliens.
what? Let's do aliens.
You want to do aliens? All right, let's do aliens. That's fine. All right, let's do aliens. So we'll do aliens again at some point. Special thanks to we're not affiliated with Annie Jacobson or World of Warplanes, which is what's been playing in the back here. It's a video game. Nice World War II action plane footage, cinematic stuff. So it's from a video game. Pretty good stuff. I'm sure some of you saw the blurb popping up once in a while saying World of Warplanes, but good stuff. Again, not affiliated with any of those guys. Just kind of throwing it in for some stuff happening, and to kind of go on the screen here. And again, if you guys are interested in this, buy our book. Like these are the types of things that we should be doing, right? And I'm going to link this, and you guys can check it out. We can support work like this, where you get information that is actually not from history books, not from the disinterested history teacher. Like somebody who's actually getting good information and trying to give it to us in a manner that's accurate, digestible, and available. So Operation Paperclip by Annie Jacobson, and check it out, guys. I did link it, etc. So on. And that's it. We're at the end. We're at the end of this. Nobody calling? Nobody calling right now? I don't see anybody calling. All right. So Operation Paperclip. Here we are. There we are. Some dirty details, and there's more in that book. And again, if you want more, like I said, she was on Joe Rogan about 9 months ago, the Black Vault, so etc. So on. So you can find more about her. Let's see. No, you're not the only one in the chat. lots of people here. I think we're just at the end, so people starting to check out. But okay, so anything we're gonna finish this up. Ash, anything else to add before we play the outro music and tell them we'll see them next time?
Man, Nazis were like the ultimate bad guy, huh? Maybe
Yeah.
they had the crisp outfits, the look, the stack up of evil atrocities.
Yep, the
Very
body
good
count.
old classic comic book villain.
Yeah.
It's the body count, crazy. But yeah, I learned a lot tonight. Some really cool news articles. It's always a pleasure to be here and be here with you guys. And I was reading your comments as we go. Lots of stuff. And that's it. It's a Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Be
That's right.
crunked.
That's right.
Enjoy.
Like the weekend starts now. The weekend starts now. Thanks guys for hanging out. You're all the best. You're all the best. We're gonna play some outro music. Let's see. Is it this one? No, let's do that one. Let's do this one. There we go. At the end of this, you're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name?
Ash the Reptilian from Mars.
Yes, it is. Ash the Reptilian from Mars. And, oh shit, we got some stutters. I guess my memory leak is happening. Okay, so... Yeah.
Yeah, beep bop.
I got the turntable. I got the turntable on the MP3. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so anyway, we're done. This is you're listening to Troubled Minds again. Thanks for sticking with us. We know sometimes the information is dense. Sometimes it's not really right down your alley. But again, we do it live for you. So if you want to be part of it, you know where to find us. If you want to suggest a show for the future, you know where to find us. TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link. Send me an email. TroubledMindsRadio@gmail. We're here for you. If you want to be on the show, always an open invitation. If you have show suggestions, please let us know, etc. So on. We've got a whole list, but we'd like you to add to our list because there's lots of good things to talk about. So there we go. And as we finish, you guys are the best. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you, and we thank you very much. And for the time being, let's finish this before my memory leak freaks and it just pulls the plug on everything. Once again, you've been listening to Troubled Minds Radio. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.
Goodbye.